Ladies and gentlemen, Alabama Senate will now come to order. Our prayer today will be delivered by Dr. Chris Erskine. Dr. Erskine serves as the senior pastor of the Movement Fellowship Church and is the guest of Senator Coleman.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we come before you today as the Senate convenes, mindful of the heavy mantle of leadership placed upon these men and women. We ask for your divine presence to guide their minds, motives, and steady their hearts throughout this session. Grant them the grace to govern with conviction and courage when faced with the difficulties of choices and complex problems. Give them the inner strength to stand firm in their astute principles despite aligned partisanship. May they lead with a clear sense of purpose, never wavering in their commitment to do what is godly for the people of our great state of Alabama. Inspire them to act with boldness. Help them to move beyond the safety of status quo to seek real solutions for all of our communities, from the northern mountains to the southern coast of our state. Let their work reflect a deep dedication to justice, integrity, and common good. We pray for the citizens of this great state that they represent. May the laws debated and passed in this chamber bring hope to the struggling, marginalized, support to those hardworking individuals, and opportunities for the next generation. Grant these leaders the wisdom to listen and the heart to serve with humanity and humility. Lord, bless the state of Alabama. May we be the people defined by our resiliency and compassion. Guide this body in deliberations and every decision made today to contribute to a brighter and more honorable future for all. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
All right, thank you. Today the pledge will be led by Kiana Marshall. Kiana is a senior at Prattville High School and paging for Senator Chambliss.
Attention, salute flag. I pledge allegiance
Thank you, Kiana. Secretary, call the roll.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Allen, Mr. Barfoot, Mr. Beasley, Mr. Bell, Mr. Butler, Mr. Carnley, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Chasteen, Ms. Coleman, Ms. Coleman-Madison, Mr. Elliott, Ms. Figures, Mr. Gavan, Mr. Gudger, Mr. Hatcher, Mr. Hovey, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kitchens, Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have 32 senators present, which is a quorum. The Senate is ready to transact business.
Mr. President,
Senator Wagner.
move that we excuse absent senators.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. President, move that we dispense with the reading of the journal from the previous legislative day and that we adopt said journal.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, now I'd like to recognize some special guests in the gallery. When I call your name, if you could please stand. The Chilton Women of Impact, guests of Senator Chambliss and Senator Weaver, if y'all could please stand. Welcome to Alabama Senate. Great to have you today.
Mr. President,
Senator Roberts.
I'd like to move that we allow committee reports throughout the day.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, I'd like to recognize some other special guests in the gallery. First, when I call your name, if you could please stand. Tanya Smitherman, President of the Birmingham Realtors Association, if you could please stand. Welcome to Alabama Senate. Great to have you today. All right, next, If I pronounce this wrong, can barely read the writing. But Terrell Major, board member of area and president-elect of the Greater Alabama MLS. If you could please stand. Welcome to Alabama Senate. Let's see, Alicia White, 3rd VP of Alabama Association of Real Estate Brokers. If you could please stand. Welcome to Alabama Senate. And then, let's see, Jessica McKnight, 1st VP of Birmingham Real Estate Association. If you could please stand. Great to have you. And then also a daughter of Senator Smitherman, Mary Smitherman. If you could please stand. Yep, great to meet you. Great. Start off on the House messages. The Secretary call the first House message.
Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has amended as therein shown and as amended as passed the following Senate bill and returns same herewith to the Senate. Senate Bill number 288 relating to agriculture authorities. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
Mr. President,
Senator.
thank you. We'd like to make a motion to concur with the House messages that came up.
All right, you want to use the long roll?
Usually, do we need
We
a long
don't.
roll?
We don't have a roll yet.
Yeah, let's do the long roll.
All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams. Mr. Woods.
29 ayes, 0 nays. The Senate concurs on Senate Bill 288. All right, Secretary, call the next House message.
Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has amended as therein shown and as amended as passed the following Senate bill and returns same herewith to the Senate. Senate Bill number 174 regarding natural resources. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
Mr. President,
Senator Gudger.
We'll make a motion to non-concur and go to conference on this House message using previous rule.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
All right, 29 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 174 non-concurs and goes to conference. After conferring with the Committee of Assignments, the conferees are Senator Albritton, Senator Woods, and Senator Coleman. All right, Secretary, call the next House message.
Mr. President, I don't know what my budget chair thinking about doing, so he can tell me how this gonna fall in my request. I'm requesting that we recess so that I could bring on the floor the State Superintendent of the Year and have a resolution presented to him.
Okay. I just called up that other bill.
We can
Senator,
get House messages over.
I can
and
wait
then we'll-
at whatever point you can.
let's get this House message out of the way, and then we can recess. Does that sound good?
I'm sorry. I thought that we were through with them.
No, we have one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I yield
We
back
got
to
two more.
Two more.
I yield
Two
back
more.
to you.
Two more and we'll
All
be
right,
on
Secretary, call the next House message.
Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has amended as therein shown and as amended has passed the following Senate bill and returns same herewith to the Senate. Senate Bill number 317 regarding the Alabama Commission on the Evaluation of Services. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
Mr. President,
Senator Orr.
I'd move we concur with the House amendment using the previous rule.
Any objection? All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
29 ayes, 0 nays. The Senate concurs on Senate Bill 317. Secretary, call the next House message.
Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has amended as therein shown and as amended has passed the following Senate bill and returns same herewith to the Senate. Senate Bill number 32 regarding solid waste collection fees. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
Mr. President,
Senator Orr.
I'd move that we non-concur and send SB 32 to conference.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
Thirty-one ayes, 0 nays. Senate non-concurs and goes to conference. Conferees are Senator Kitchen, Senator Jones, Senator Hatcher. All right,
Mr. President,
Senator Smitherman.
I'd like to get unanimous consent for us to recess so that we can bring on our State Superintendent of the Year, Mr. Mark.
Can you make
Sullivan.
the motion recess call of the chair?
Yes, sir. Call of the chair.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. We stand in recess call of the chair.
Mr. President,
Senator Smitherman.
could I get everybody's attention, please? Members, could I get everybody's attention? We talked, it was brought out, our budget chair and several of our members about the outstanding improvement that the city of Birmingham had made in its reading initiative. And if you get a chance and got a chance to get this magazine, our report, it shows how far in advance that they've gone over the major cities in our country. Today we have before us Dr. Mark Sullivan, come right up, Doc, who is the superintendent for the Birmingham Board of Education, the third largest school system in the state, some 20+ thousand students. And he has been selected this year as the State Superintendent of the Year. Let's give him a big round of applause. And at this time, if the desk would, we have a resolution that we would like to read and present. And before you start, let me just say this. This resolution is placed in the archives and histories of our state. And it will be there forever and ever as we move forward as a state. So that it's a great honor that this legislature have placed on you. And at this time, we will ask if the desk would read it.
Senate resolution commending Dr. Mark Sullivan on being named Outstanding Superintendent of the Year by Senator Roger Smitherman. Whereas highest commendations and congratulations are herein proudly presented to Dr. Mark Sullivan, Superintendent of Birmingham City Schools, on his remarkable achievement of being selected as the 2025-26 Outstanding Superintendent of the Year by the Alabama Education Association. Whereas Dr. Sullivan was chosen through a vote of his peers across the state, the honor acknowledges superintendents for professional achievement, innovation in supporting schools, efforts to promote public education, and leadership that enhances the image of educators. Whereas since becoming superintendent of the Birmingham City Schools in 2020, Dr. Sullivan's vision and passion for students have helped drive historic progress across the district, from record academic gains and a comprehensive improvement plan focused on early literacy and data-driven instruction to expanded college and career pathways and equity-centered policies that support the whole child. Whereas under his leadership, Birmingham City Schools received its highest grade ever on the Alabama State Department of Education report card. Whereas Dr. Sullivan is a graduate of Birmingham City Schools and served the system for 25 years as a teacher and principal. Whereas Dr. Sullivan's outstanding leadership has helped Birmingham City Schools achieve historic progress, making a tremendous difference in the lives of thousands of students. Whereas he is known throughout Birmingham for his generosity of time, personal sacrifice, and tireless work ethic. He is loved and respected by the community in which he has dedicated more than 30 years of service. Whereas with his commitment to excellence and tireless dedication, Dr. Mark Sullivan personifies the finest qualities of those who enrich the lives of Alabama's young people through the noble vocation of education, and he is truly worthy of the significant honor bestowed upon him. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the Legislature of Alabama that Dr. Mark Sullivan is hereby most highly commended and congratulated for being named the 2025 through 2026 Outstanding Superintendent of the Year by the Alabama Education Association. And this resolution is offered to him in deepest admiration and appreciation, along with sincere best wishes for continued success in all future endeavors. Signed, Patrick Harris, Secretary of the Senate, and Will Ainsworth, Lieutenant Governor.
At this time, if it so be, I would like to have Dr. Sullivan share a few words with us.
Yeah, I would love that. Dr. Sullivan.
So first, I'd like to say thank you to Senator Smitherman for this recognition. But this recognition is not about the work that I, as superintendent, do in the school system every day. It is about the work that the 2,700 employees in Birmingham City Schools bring to the table every day, and that I get the honor, the privilege to work with and serve with. In Birmingham City Schools, we've seen a lot of success. We say success starts here. We've reduced the number of schools receiving an F over the last 2 years by 93%, from 15 to 1. And that 1 is coming off this year. We've cut our chronic absenteeism in half. At one time, there were 29% of our students miss 18 days or more. Right now, it's less than 14%. And we did that with support of our families, our community, and our educators. In Birmingham City Schools, we are moving in the right direction, and I thank you for your leadership here in this body and putting the resources in place to support public education. Thank you.
Also, I'm going to present the same resolution, but to give everyone in the body opportunity for their name to be a part of this resolution. So I want, when you see it come, you'll know it's the same one. I just want to include all my senators in there as well. Thank you very much, and if there's nothing else, Mr. President, if we could take a picture before we get out of here, then that'll be fine.
Absolutely, that'd be great.
All right, thank you.
All right, the Senate is back in session. Now move on to committee reports. Secretary, call the first committee.
From the Committee on Finance and Taxation General Fund, House Bill number 224 receives a favorable report by a vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays. From Finance and Taxation General Fund, House Bill number 591 receives a favorable report by a vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays. From Finance and Taxation General Fund, House Bill number 614 receives a favorable report by a vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays. From Finance and Taxation General Fund, House Bill number 609 receives a favorable report by a vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays.
Bills received a second read, be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. Secretary, call the next committee. Before you do that, I want to recognize a special guest in the gallery, the guest of Senator Figures. When I call your name, if you could please stand. Deborah Robinson with the Alabama Real Estate Commissioner, member at large. You could please stand. Welcome to the Alabama Senate. Great to have you today.
From the Committee on Confirmations, Senate Confirmation number 89, appointing Rex Jones to the Alabama Underground and Above Ground Storage Tank Trust Fund Management Board, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate confirm Rex Jones to the Alabama Underground and Above Ground Tank Trust Fund Management Board. That's a lot, isn't it? Do we have a long roll?
We do.
Using previous roll.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
33 ayes, 0 nays. Rex Jones is confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 73, appointing William Dunovit to the Athens State University Board of Trustees, receives a favorable report by a vote of 13 ayes and 2 nays.
Move that the Senate confirm William Donovan to the Athens State University Board of Trustees using previous roll.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. William Donovat's confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 94, appointing Jim Massey to the Alabama Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
I move that the Senate confirm Jim Massey to the Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board using previous roll.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Jim Massey is confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 96, appointing Jason Wyndham to the Alabama Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Jason Wyndham to the Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Jason Wyndham's confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 92, appointing Alexander Atwater to the Alabama Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Alexander Atwater to the Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Alexander Atwater is confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 93, appointing Charles Dean to the Alabama Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Charles Dean to the Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Charles Dean's confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 95, appointing Steve McKinnon to the Alabama Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Steve McKinnon to the Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. Steve McKinnon is confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 91, appointing Bonnie Temple to the Alabama Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Bonnie Temple to the Alabama Dry Cleaning Environmental Response Trust Fund Advisory Board using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. Bonnie Temple's confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 90, appointing Shaniqua Johnson Anum to the Alabama Sickle Cell Oversight and Regulatory Commission, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Shaniqua Johnson Anum to the Alabama Sickle Cell Oversight and Regulatory Commission using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. Shaniqua Anum is confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 103, appointing Dwayne Jenkins to the Board of Heating, Air Conditioning, and Refrigeration Contractors, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Dwayne Jenkins to the Alabama Board of Heating, Air Conditioning, and Refrigeration Contractors using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. Dwayne Jenkins confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 101, appointing Troy Skipworth to the Alabama Family Trust Fund Board of Trustees, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Troy Skipworth to the Alabama Family Trust Board of Trustees using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. Troy Skipworth confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation number 97, appointing Gloria Watts to the Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University Board of Trustees, receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Gloria Watts to the Alabama A&M Board of Trustees using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. Gloria Watts is confirmed. Secretary, call the next confirmation.
From the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation Number 98, appointing Tracy Doughty to the Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University Board of Trustees receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirms Tracy Doty to the Alabama A&M Board of Trustees using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods,
35 ayes, 0 nays. Tracy Doty is confirmed. Secretary, call the next confirmation.
from the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation Number 99, appointing Kevin Ball to the Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University Board of Trustees receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Kevin Ball to the Alabama A&M Board of Trustees using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods,
35 ayes, 0 nays. Kevin Ball is confirmed. Secretary, call the next confirmation.
from the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation Number 100, appointing Joe D. Briggs to the Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University Board of Trustees receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Joe Briggs to the Alabama A&M Board of Trustees using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods,
35 ayes, 0 nays. Joe Briggs confirmed. Secretary, call the next confirmation.
from the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation Number 104, appointing Josh Bryant to the Alabama Firefighters Personnel Standards and Education Commission receives a favorable report by a vote of 10 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirms Josh Bryant to the Alabama Firefighters Personnel Standards and Education Commission using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods,
35 ayes, 0 nays. Josh Bryant's confirmed. Josh Bryant is also in the gallery. If you could please stand. Or at one point in time was in the gallery. Well, congratulations. So, all right, Secretary, call next confirmation.
from the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation Number 106, appointing Dylan Turk to the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission receives a favorable report by a vote of 10 ayes and 0 nays.
Move the Senate confirm Dylan Turk to the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods,
35 ayes, 0 nays. Dylan Turk's confirmed, and I believe Dylan Turk is in the gallery. If you could please stand. Welcome to the Alabama Senate. Great to have you today. Congratulations. All right, Secretary, call the next confirmation.
from the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation Number 107, appointing David R. Pruitt III to the Alabama Ethics Commission receives a favorable report by a vote of 9 ayes, 0 nays, and 1 abstention.
Move the Senate confirm David Pruitt to the Alabama Ethics Commission using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods,
35 ayes, 0 nays. David Pruitt's confirmed. Secretary, call next confirmation.
from the Committee on Confirmation, Senate Confirmation Number 105, appointing Carol Smitherman to the Alabama Ethics Commission receives a favorable report by a vote of 9 ayes, 0 nays, and 1 abstention.
Senator Weaver.
Move the Senate confirms Judge Carol Smitherman to the Alabama Ethics Commission using previous role.
Any objection? Senator Smitherman, oh, object. Yeah, abstain. All right. Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods,
34 ayes, 1 nay, 1 abstention. Judge Carol Smitherman has been confirmed. If you could please stand, Judge Smitherman. Welcome to Alabama Senate. Congratulations, Judge. Great to have you with us today. All right. Secretary, call the next committee.
from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry, House Bill Number 444 receives a favorable report by a vote of 4 ayes and 3 nays.
These bills received a second read, be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. Secretary, call the next committee.
From the Committee on Fiscal Responsibility and Economic Development, House Bill Number 248 receives a favorable report with 1 amendment by a vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays.
This bill has received a second read, be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. Secretary, call the next committee.
From the Committee on Local Legislation, House Bill number 611 receives a favorable report. From the Committee on Local Legislation, House Bill number 622 receives a favorable report. From the Committee on Local Legislation, House Bill number 92 receives a favorable report.
These bills received a second reading and be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. Secretary, call next committee.
From the Committee on Local Legislation, House Bill number 556 receives a favorable report.
All right, this bill has received a second reading and be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. This concludes committee reports. Now move on to motions and resolutions. All right, Senator Allen.
Mr. President, I got an SJR.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the SJR.
Senate Joint Resolution number 112 by Senators Allen and Singleton commending the University of Alabama women's wheelchair basketball team for winning the 2026 National Intercollegiate Wheelchair Basketball Tournament Championship.
Yeah. Mr. President, again, Alabama was able to win a national championship and for the women's wheelchair championship, that is. And this is one, I think it's 12 in a 12 championships. So with that being said, I'd like to add all senators to be part of this SJR.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, Senator Allen.
Mr. President, move adoption.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution's adopted. Senator Orr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an SJR.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the SJR.
Senate Joint Resolution number 113 by Senators Orr and Allen recognizing the seriousness of the national debt and its threat to national security.
Mr. President, may I ask for the resolution be read at length? It's only a page and a half.
Yes, Secretary, read the resolution.
Whereas in October 2025, the outstanding public debt of the United States totaled more than $38.5 trillion, with public debt equaling 122.5% of gross domestic product, and the debt owed per citizen rising to $110,000. Whereas more than $9.3 trillion of the federal debt is owned by individuals not located in the United States, including more than $700 billion owned by individuals in China. Whereas in fiscal year 2025, the United States had a deficit of $1.78 trillion after the U.S. Congress failed to pass a balanced budget and federal tax receipts totaled $5.23 trillion, short of the federal outlays totaling $7.01 trillion. Whereas the Social Security and Medicare boards of trustees project that the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund and the Federal Hospital Insurance Trust Fund will all be depleted in 2033 and 2034. Whereas improvements in the business climate in populous countries and aging populations around the world will likely contribute to higher global interest rates, which would squeeze all United States policy priorities, including defense and foreign policy. Whereas on September the 22nd, 2011, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Michael Mullen, warned the single biggest threat to our national security is debt. Whereas on March the 6th, 2018, then Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, warned our continued plunge into debt is unsustainable and represents a dire future threat to our economy and to our national security. Whereas the last federal budget surplus occurred in 2001, and the continued rise in the national debt is a major concern across Alabama and around the country. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the legislature of Alabama, both houses thereof concurring, that the state of Alabama recognizes that the national debt is a threat to national security of the United States and urges the United States Congress to commit to establishing an effective regular order for budgeting. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Senate is directed to transmit a copy of this resolution to each member of Alabama's congressional delegation.
Mr. President, I'd
Senator.
like to move to add all senators as co-sponsors.
Objection to add all senators? So move.
All right. This time I'd move for immediate consideration of this very important resolution regarding our national debt and the problems it's causing.
Is there any objection to immediate consideration? Seeing none, so move.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Resolution passed. Thank you, Senator. Des?
Mr. President,
Senator Williams, you'll be recognized first. You had the mic.
Yes, I have a SJR. Would love to have it read at length.
Secretary,
What's it got to have? I'm sorry.
he may want to read it. Can he read it? Senator Stewart, you recognized.
Mr. President, I have a resolution.
What would you present it to the desk? to be read?
SJR.
What the desk receive and read it?
Senate Joint Resolution number 114 by Senator Stewart, commending United States Army Reserve retired Brigadier General Vandiver H. Carter on being selected as the 2026 Marion Military Institute Alumnus of the Year.
Mr. President, I move that the resolution is read at length.
Would the desk please read the resolution at length?
Whereas it is an honor to extend highest commendations to United States Army Reserve retired Brigadier General Vandiver H. Carter on being selected as the 2026 Marion Military Institute Alumni of the Year. Whereas this honor reflects not only B.G. Carter's accomplishments as an alumni, but also his extraordinary and sustained commitment to the Institute. Over the past 15 years of service on the MMI Board of Trustees, he has provided steady leadership, wise counsel, and an unwavering advocacy for MMI's mission. His dedication to ensuring the continued strength and relevance of MMI has a lasting impact on the institution and the Corps of Cadets it serves. Whereas Brigadier General Vandiver H. Carter was born in Selma, Alabama, and graduated from Albert G. Parrish High School in May of 1961. After joining the Alabama Army National Guard in November, he entered basic training in March of 1962. Upon completion of a 6-month tour of duty, he entered Marion Military Institute in September. Whereas after attending MMI for 1 year, he returned to Selma and started a construction company and an investment company with Carter and Smith Realty. In March of 1966, he attended Officer Candidate School at Fort Benning, Georgia, and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in July in 1968. And he completed the officer basic course at Fort Eustis, Virginia, and returned to the Alabama Army National Guard. In July of 1969, he returned to active duty, and after completion of airborne training, was assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division, with tours of duty in the ABN Corps and Special Forces Group. Whereas upon completing his 2-year tour of duty, he returned to the Alabama Army National Guard and continued his business career with Carter and Smith Realty. Whereas B.G. Carter's first assignment in the Guard was a platoon leader with a transportation company, and later he was promoted to a company commander in the headquarters company of the 135th Supply and Transportation Battalion. After being promoted to major, he served in staff positions as S1, S23, and S4 of the 122nd Support Group in Selma. Whereas later, he was assigned to the 135th S&S Battalion in Jasper, and then promoted to lieutenant colonel and given command of the 440th Ordnance Battalion in Camden. After 3 years as commander of the 440th Battalion, he was reassigned as executive officer of the 226th Support Group in Mobile, and at the conclusion of that assignment was promoted to colonel and commander of the 122nd Support Group in Selma for a 3-year tour of duty. At the completion of his 3-year tour, he was assigned a security and plans officer in the 167th Corps Support Group in Birmingham. In July of 1994, he was promoted to Brigadier General and assigned as Chief of Staff to the 167th Corps Support Group. He retired in February of 1998 after serving in the military for 37 years. Whereas B.G. Carter graduated from the Air University in 1991, the National Defense University in 1990, the University of the State of New York in 1987, and the Command and General Staff College in 1974. Where simultaneously with his military career, he has served his church and community in countless ways. He and his wife of 60 years, Marion, have reared 3 daughters and are so proud of their 7 grandchildren. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the legislature of Alabama, both houses thereof concurring, that United States Army Reserve retired General Vandiver H. Carter is highly commended for being selected as the 2026 Marion Military Institute Alumnus of the Year. And this resolution serves as a tribute to him, along with sincere best wishes for continued success in all future endeavors.
Mr. President, I move for immediate consideration.
Is there an objection to immediate consideration? Seeing none.
And Mr. President, I move that all senators be added as co-sponsor.
If there are any objection, if not all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All in opposes. Amendment is, the resolution is passed.
Thank you. Mr.
Thank you.
Any other motions or resolutions?
Mr. President, I have a resolution.
All right, Secretary Reed, receive the resolution, please.
Joint Resolution number 115 by Senator Chambliss, commending John R. Cooper for exemplary service to the state of Alabama.
Mr. President, I move for immediate consideration.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution's adopted.
Mr. President, I would move that all senators be added.
All right, any objection for all senators being added? Is that an object? Okay, all right, hearing none, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yep. All right, any other motions or resolutions? All right. All right, now move on to local bills. Secretary, call the first local bill.
On page 69 of the calendar, House Bill number 635 by Representative Easterbrook regarding Choctaw County. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move the BR using the previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
Thirty-four ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 69 of the calendar, House Bill number 635 by Representative Easterbrook regarding Choctaw County.
Mr. President, I move final passage using the previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
All right, 35 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 635 passes. Secretary, call next local bill.
Page 69 of the calendar, House Bill number 639 by Representatives Baker and Hammett regarding Escambia County. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move BR using the previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the next local bill. All right, it was just a BR. All right, Secretary, call the bill.
On page 69 of the calendar, House Bill number 639 by Representatives Baker and Hammett regarding Escambia County.
Mr. President, I move final passage using the previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 639 passes. Secretary, call next local bill.
On page 69 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 10 by Senator Allen, a proposed constitutional amendment regarding Tuscaloosa County. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move the BR using the previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 69 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 10 by Senator Allen, a proposed constitutional amendment regarding Tuscaloosa County.
Mr. President, I move final passage using the previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 10 passes.
Mr. President, I move certification using the previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. Certification resolutions adopted. Secretary, call next local bill.
On page 70 of the calendar, House Bill number 315 by Representative Moore, M., and others regarding Class 1 municipalities. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move the BR using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 70 of the calendar, House Bill number 315 by Representatives Moore, M., and others regarding Class 1 municipalities. Committee substitute pending.
Mr. President, I would move adoption of the committee substitute using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The committee substitute's adopted.
On page 70 of the calendar, House Bill number 315 by Representatives Moore, M., relating to Class 1 municipalities.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, for the recognition. We have an amendment we need to get on this bill. It is a friendly, agreed-upon amendment, and with that, I'd like to move adoption of the amendment. Do I need to say the number, or just move adoption amendment?
Can you submit the amendment? All right, Secretary Reed, receive the amendment, please.
Oh, here.
Amendment to the substitute for House Bill number 315 by Senators Coleman. Replace line 287 on page 11 with the following.
All right, Senator Coleman, we're on the amendment now.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move final passage of this amendment using the previous roll if no objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The Senator Coleman amendment's adopted. All right, Senator Coleman.
Move final passage of House Bill 315 as amended using previous roll without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 315 passes. Thanks, Senator Coleman. All right. Secretary, call next local bill.
On page 70 of the calendar, House Bill number 404 by Representative Rafferty regarding Class 1 municipalities. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move the BR using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 70 of the calendar, House Bill number 404 by Representative Rafferty regarding Class 1 municipalities.
Mr. President, I move final passage using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
All right, 35 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 404 passes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
a couple of bills ago, we had Senate Bill 10. I would move unanimous consent to transmit Senate Bill 10.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, that concludes local bills. All right, Senator Wagner.
Mr. President, I have a report from the Committee on Rules.
All right, Secretary Reed received the report from the Committee on Rules.
From the Committee on Rules, Senate Resolution number 116, Special Order Calendar. Be it resolved by the Senate of the Legislature of Alabama that immediately upon the adoption of this resolution, the following business in the order set forth below shall be a special paramount order of business for the 28th legislative day, taking precedence over the regular order of business or any pending or unfinished business. On page 41, Senate Bill number 354 by Senator Albritton regarding solar power facilities. On page 55, House Bill 155 by Representative Lee regarding homestead exemptions. On page 24, House Bill 329 by Representative Faulkner and others regarding education. On page 26, House Bill 249 by Representative Faulkner regarding guardianships and conservatorships. On page 66, House Bill 626 by Representative Witt regarding tax increment districts. On page 64, House Bill 545 by Representative Crow and others regarding legal tender. On page 70, House Bill 404 by Representative Rafferty regarding Class 1 municipalities. On page 61, House Bill number 98 by Representative Treadaway regarding college tuition. On page 21, House Bill 255 by Representative Bedsole regarding the Alabama Crime Victims Compensation Commission. On page 41, House Bill 465 by Representative Holsey and others regarding motor vehicles. On page 52, House Bill number 379 by Representative Collins regarding the entertainment industry. On page 63, House Bill number 8 by Representative Gidley and others regarding campus chaplains. On page 48, House Bill 393 by Representative Lawrence and others regarding tax abatements. On page 68, House Bill 593 by Representative Witt regarding alcoholic beverage producers. On page 33, House Bill 351 by Representative Shaw regarding data privacy. On page 62, House Bill 499 by Representative Bracey regarding constables. On page 44, House Bill 415 by Representative Ellis regarding the Department of Insurance. On page 28, House Bill number 17 by Representative Lamb regarding municipal audits. On page 30, House Bill 341 by Representative Starnes and others regarding income tax. On page 39, House Bill number 75 by Representative Robertson regarding public high schools. On page 54, House Bill 388 by Representative Faulkner regarding taxation. On page 65, House Bill 605 by Representative Keel regarding state health planning and the State Health Planning and Development Agency. On page 15, House Bill 151 by Representative Garrett regarding the University of Alabama. And on page 21, House Bill number 250 by Representative Garrett regarding taxes.
Mr. President,
Senator Wagner.
move that the Senate adopt the report from the Committee on Rules using the previous roll call.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The special order calendar is adopted. Secretary, call the first bill.
On page 41 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 354 by Senator Albritton regarding solar power facilities. BR pending.
Mr. President, if I remember right, I've had this bill here about 3 weeks ago, and I think we'd gotten through the BIR. And I think I think we also had a committee amendment that had been tabled at that point. That's correct? So right now, I think we're completely on the bill at this point. And if I might, ladies and gentlemen, refresher, this is a one-page bill that does a moratorium for 1 year on solar farms. Now, I don't think they're really solar farms, but solar farms. And there's been lots of discussions and interruptions and things going on along this line. I see I have a colleague across from me, and we'll, if it may please, I'd let him go ahead and go speak.
All right, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this recognition. Just want to dialogue with the gentleman from Baldwin County for a few moments on this legislation, because I understand that this would have some statewide implications. So could you sort of give us like a refresher on this legislation and the impact that it will have, and on what solar projects that it will have an impact on?
Certainly, and if I may, if it pleases the senator, I would suggest that if you allow us to proceed through this, I think you will find that your concerns about the statewide matter is going to be resolved through an amendment should it be adopted. There's amendments that's coming forward that will change this up. But right now, it is a statewide bill, but there's an amendment to reduce that.
Do we know who's offering that amendment?
Yes, I think the senator from Greene County.
He's from.
So.
From Coffee County, the gentleman.
Senator
the gentleman from Hale County.
Hale County,
Greensboro.
that's right.
But he represents Greene County. So there's been a lot of solar projects all over the Black Belt. So we just wanted to address some of the concerns that we've been receiving, and I'm pretty sure other members of this deliberative assembly have been receiving calls. Because for me, I know our solar development lags compared to other states. And so we want to make sure that as a state, it's important that we don't have policies that will sort of limit ourselves. And so could you kind of talk me through what happened in Baldwin County or Mobile County.
Certainly, I'll be able to share with you where we are with things on this. We have, my purpose, I'll say it this way, on the moratorium is, again, a moratorium is a temporary issue that's simply going to prevent new developments from this point forward for 1 year only. The purpose of that is so that we can look as a state and find out why the residents were unaware of this production and this construction that was going to take place until it was a done deal. The notifications, and I think that's partly the legislature's fault because we passed a bill that would allow notifications to be done only electronically, and so there was no local notification. It only went out on a website or something of that nature. There was nothing to give notice to the residents about what was occurring, and that's part of the process now. I'd like to take a look at that and see if there's some other way that we need to find to make sure that the residents are aware of what's going to happen in their community. That's number one. Also, if there's going to be a public hearing, which the claim is here is that, and I don't doubt that one did occur, but where did it occur? Again, the public was not notified of that other than online. So maybe some digitized personnel showed up, I don't know. But no one, real people were unaware and was not present. So I want to find a way that we can address those issues so that knowledge is there. The other is reclamation, so that we can have a protection and answers, just like any other construction project or anything that comes in and disturbs the land, that there's going to be a curable aspect to that, so that someone is responsible to bring the land back to in a usable fashion. That's the purpose of what the moratorium would be. It's not stopping the industry. It is not restricting the industry. It is simply looking at a way to find another process that we can be more open.
Thank you. Mr. President, I yield to the gentleman from Hale County without losing my time and place.
All right, Senator Singleton.
Senator Albright.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and I know we have brought this bill up, and I think I heard you just in your explanation talk about the 1 year moratorium that's in this bill. The problem is that inside of this 1 year moratorium, there are people who have already started a process, who are already moving forward with trying to get solar farms up, who have made investments, who have invested and basically leveraged some taxes and other things that they've done in order to get this business up that could be profitable to their area. And while I'm not here to want to stop your legislation, because I understand situations that you may have may be different from the situations that I have in my district. And I have an amendment that I want to bring to this bill that basically does a couple of things. It's going to deal with taxes, and it also going to deal with making this bill contiguous to those counties that are right along the Gulf of America. I'm gonna say that today, the Gulf of America, okay? For the purposes of this bill. I don't even know how that rolled off my tongue. I didn't know you was in the seat. Mr. Gulf of America himself was in the seat. And then it also deal with the fact that if there are any municipal governments within this year cannot do anything any more stringent or that this bill allows us to do at the local level. And so if you don't mind, I would like to introduce my amendment and then we can talk about it if you have some other discussion.
I understand, and we have discussed this. That's what the past 2 weeks have been going through discussions of trying to figure out how we can move this bill and what we can do to alleviate or to address all the issues that's there. So I have no objection to bringing in the amendment.
Thank you.
All right, Secretary Reed received the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 354 by Senator Singleton. Replace line 14 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 16 through 17 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 22 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 26 on page 1 with the following.
All right, Senator Singleton.
Yes, and so as we said, we've discussed this, and we've had a discussion today about it. And I just like to have this a vote, a up or down vote on it, not to prolong it if you don't want to prolong this vote. But I think that this is a good amendment that helps some of those of us who are already dealing in this continue to move along. We don't have to wait on a one-year moratorium to continue to do the business that we're doing, stopping all these projects, you know, in their footsteps, because there have been investments that have been made across the state. And so understanding where you are, but then there are other parts of the state that are much further along than where you are, and this one-year moratorium would just hurt us. So I would just like to move for adoption of the amendment. I don't know what the previous roll, but we'll call a long roll.
Call the long roll. And if I might, just so long as we have the clarification and for the members' information, this amendment does 2 or 3 things. Let me know if I get these wrong. One is it clarifies the language as to under construction, and
Yes.
it uses the federal language that's been adopted or known in the industry. So
Correct.
that language is included. It also takes and it limits it to the Gulf Coast, basically.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Mobile and Baldwin counties.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And then it also does one other thing. It provides that a public hearing has to be held within
It does.
30 days.
Same thing you wanted to happen.
Exactly. And then it does one other item.
It does with municipal governments that they cannot pass any laws more stringent than what the law here in the state of Alabama has.
I follow you. All right. Now, I always think I bring perfect bills, but I believe that this amendment needs to have a vote on it, and I recommend we have a vote, and I would recommend the body accept this.
Thank
in
you.
order to move this forward.
Thank you, and I appreciate you recommending the body to accept it. Thank you.
All right, do y'all want to use previous roll or long roll?
Long
All right,
roll.
Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Allen, Mr. Barfoot, Mr. Beasley, Mr. Bell, Mr. Butler, Mr. Carnley, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Chasteen, Ms. Coleman, Ms. Coleman-Madison, Mr. Elliott, Ms. Figures, Mr. Gavan, Mr. Gudger, Mr. Hatcher, Mr. Hovey, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kitchens, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Melson, Mr. Orr, Mr. Price, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Sessions, Mr. Shelnut, Mr. Singleton,
Aye.
Mr. Smitherman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stutz, Mr. Wagner, Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods,
All right, 33 ayes, 0 nays. Senator Singleton amendment's adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Senator Carnley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've got an amendment that I would like to offer for SB 354.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill 354 by Senator Carnley. Replace line 14 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 16 through 17 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 22 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 26 through 27 on page 1 with the following.
All right, Senator Carnley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Talked to the Senator Albritton and, understand the issue that he deals with in his community. And, I can empathize with you a lot. We've been working on something in our community that deals with carbon sequestration Class 6 permits, and a lot of talk in the community about issues and just maybe some misunderstandings, but trying to learn more about what these things can do and the impact they would have in the community. And, passed a local bill here to get to the House, and that bill got to the House, and it's just in the committee, and I've never been able to get that thing up for a vote. And we've introduced multiple bills trying to bring things to, really be specific to our community, because in our eyes, this is a local issue, and definitely don't want to mess with anybody else's projects that are going on in communities where they have cooperation and understanding. And I've talked to some other people that are doing this, and I think they did it the right way by going out there, engaging with the community, and really trying to make sure they understood what these projects would mean to the community. And so, I understand where you're coming from with this. And, we've worked hard with all stakeholders, or tried to work hard with people to let them know that, this is important to us. And it seems like every time we would sit down at the table, we would run into a roadblock. And as cooperative as we've tried to be, we've really never gotten any consensus to work with us. And so, when I saw your bill about this issue in Baldwin County and the constituents and how important it was to them to, really just slow the project down, to learn more about it, to gain understanding of what the impact would be in their community, I really sympathize with you, and I understand that. And we're at the point in session where I'm running out of options. And so, what you're trying to do, I think, is what we're trying to do. It's not what we wanted, but at this point, I'm just trying to get anything. And so what this amendment does is it adds, in addition to solar facilities, this would add carbon sequestration Class 6 wells. And in order not to mess with the previous amendment that was just added, because I know there's a lot of concern about statewide bills as it relates to solar projects, what we did was we added a separate section, because the amendment that was just entered by the senator before me, narrowed those solar projects down to counties that bordered the Gulf of America. And if I would have added what I'd originally proposed, then my concern would have been limited to those two counties. Well, my county does not border the Gulf of America. And so in order to retain what the senator was doing in his amendment, we just added a separate section. and, you know, I've reached out to other companies that are doing carbon sequestration. And what we've done is we qualified the moratorium for these projects to say any project that's 50,000 acres and larger, and what I would call a super project, something that's going to impact a large portion of the county, and also projects that will be on public lands. Because I don't think a lot of people are aware the project that's in our county, you know, will be on a WMA that, you know, the Department of Conservation owns. But whenever that deed was written and Department of Conservation purchased that property from the landowner, that landowner retained all rights below the ground. And so Department of Conservation has no input into this project, even though it will be on roughly 8,000 acres of state land. And, you know, our concern as a community is not, I mean, the technology, I guess, is a concern, but I understand that maybe there's just some education that needs to come with that we need to know more. But a project on such a scale, but then, you know, when it comes to this public land, have we even looked at, you know, safety measures? You know, what happens when you have hunters and just the public out there on this public property walking around, and you've got these carbon whales, or who's going to put up a fence? How far does the fence need to be from a whale? You know, who's liable if something happens on that property? And, you know, that's a big reason of why I'm bringing this. We had a bill that came from the House that was going to create a study commission to look at these, to try to understand some of these issues that we have. That bill was unsuccessful. We're not able to move that. And so that's why I'm asking for this amendment on this bill. It really, when you look at the language, it is specific to a single project, and that project is in my Senate district. These people are passionate. You understand that. You've seen it in your community, and I respect what you're doing to listen to your constituents and to fight for them and what their wishes are, and I appreciate that, and I hope you understand. That's where I'm coming from. That's where we've been coming from since October. You know, just really trying to work, and unfortunately, as much as I thought we could get something done, we've hit roadblocks at every turn. And so, you know, I just wanted to try to tag on to your bill to get my issue dealt with. And so with that, I'll answer any questions.
Senator, I appreciate your concerns. I know we've had these discussions also over the time frame, and I understand what you're trying to achieve. I believe, though, what we're doing here, and for the bodies, the amendment adds a whole different section on it, which includes the carbon dioxide storage facility matter, and puts a one-year moratorium on that. I follow that.
Right.
I understand what you're doing. I'm not going to table, but I am going to, my history of getting tables are not that great. So I think what I will do is just allow this to be voted, but I'll be voting no, and I'd ask the body to vote no on the amendment.
That's all I ask, is that we get a vote on it.
All
I
right.
appreciate it. Thank you.
With that,
Secretary, call the long roll.
Long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chasteen. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman-Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts, Mr. Sessions, Mr. Shelnut, Mr. Singleton, Mr. Smotherman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stutz, Mr. Wagner, Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods,
Seventeen ayes, 12 nays, 1 abstention. Senator Carnley amendments adopted. Thank you, Senator Carnley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'd move for final passage using, let's take the long roll.
All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Allen, Mr. Barfoot, Mr. Beasley, Mr. Bell, Mr. Butler, Mr. Carnley, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Chasteen, Ms. Coleman, Ms. Coleman Madison, Mr. Elliott, Ms. Figures, Mr. Gavan, Mr. Gudger, Mr. Hatcher, Mr. Hovey, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kitchens, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Melson, Mr. Orr, Mr. Price, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Sessions, Mr. Shelnut, Mr. Singleton, Mr. Smotherman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stutz, Mr. Wagner, Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods,
All right, 27 ayes, 4 nays. Senate Bill 354 passes.
Thank you. Mr. President, I'd move for unanimous consent to transmit to the House.
All right, any objection? All right, several objections. All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank the body for the time.
All right, thank you. Before we move on to the next bill, let me recognize some special guests in the gallery. The guest of Senator Chasteen, Senator Carnley, and Senator Beasley, the Wiregrass RC&D leadership. If y'all could please stand. Welcome to the Alabama Senate. Great to have you all today. All right, Secretary, call the next bill, please.
On page 55 of the calendar, House Bill number 155 by Representative Lee regarding homestead exemptions. BR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator Chasteen.
I move for the BR using do you have a good roll?
No.
All right, long roll.
All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Allen, Mr. Barfoot, Mr. Beasley, Mr. Bell, Mr. Butler, Mr. Carnley, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Chasteen.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman, Ms. Coleman Madison, Mr. Elliott, Ms. Figures, Mr. Gavan, Mr. Gudger, Mr. Hatcher, Mr. Hovey, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kitchens, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Melson, Mr. Orr, Mr. Price, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Sessions, Mr. Shelnut, Mr. Singleton, Mr. Smitherman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stutz, Mr. Wagner, Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods.
BR is adopted. Call the bill.
On page 55 of the calendar, House Bill number 155 by Representative Lee regarding homestead exemptions.
Members, under existing law, certain homesteads owned and occupied by residents of the state who are permanently or totally disabled, including qualified disabled veterans of the United States Armed Forces, are exempt from ad valorem taxation. Current law also allows that qualifying permanently and totally disabled veterans to annually verify the continuation of their qualifying conditions rather than annually reapply for the exemption. This bill would provide that permanently and totally disabled veterans of the United States Armed Forces are released from the annual verification requirements for homestead exemption. So basically, if you're a disabled veteran, once you've claimed your homestead exemption, you are no longer required annually to do so. So if there are no questions, Mr. President, I move for, do I see my colleague across the way has a question?
Disabled veteran being declared disabled by...
Senator, go ahead. Senator.
I apologize, Mr. President. Mr. President, I really apologize for having to speak without asking for permission.
I appreciate you apologizing.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Singleton.
These are officially declared veterans that have been declared
Permanently disabled.
Permanently disabled.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And basically, you know, once they do their homestead exemption, they don't have to go back annually and verify it.
These are not people that are 50%, 70%.
Totally disabled.
It's totally disabled.
Correct.
Because we got a lot of disabilities that's going on out there.
40%. And
Well,
so
you're right. I just want to make sure we were talking about permanent disability, not some of those people who are still able to work and do other stuff or have a percentage of.
No, right. You're correct.
100%.
You're correct.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, if there are no more questions, I move for final passage using the previous roll.
Is there any objection? Secretary, call the roll.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
Bill passes, 30 ayes and no ayes. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 24 of the calendar, House Bill number 329 by Representative Faulkner and others regarding education. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move for BR using the previous roll.
Is there any objection? Secretary, call the short roll.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
Ayes and no ayes. Secretary, call the bill.
Page 24 of the calendar, House Bill number 329 by Representatives Faulkner and others regarding education.
Members, we had this bill last year. It came out of committee, and we ran out of time on the last day of session before we were able to get it passed. So we have it again this year. And HB 329 codifies the state board's actions that makes taking a computer science course a graduation requirement by 2031-32 school year. If I have any questions, Mr. Senator Singleton?
Are we going to make sure that there, I'm sorry, Mr. President, would the gentleman yield?
I hate yes.
Are we going to make sure that there are qualified teachers in each school that can teach computer science.
Computer science and the courses that go with that. Yes, sir. Math and so forth. Yes.
So we have computer science and or other requirements can make up for the computer science?
Right.
Okay. And so, because I know in a lot of these areas, it may be kind of hard to recruit that person, or whether or not schools have enough units to be able to do that.
Right.
How are we dealing with units, qualified units to do that?
So they can have a math teacher that would be qualified for computer science or a science teacher that would be qualified. It wouldn't necessarily mean that you would have to have a new unit for the computer science class. You could use your existing faculty that you have to be able to teach this course that's required.
Whether certified or not?
Well, they would be certified,
Be a
yes.
certified teacher,
Yes,
but not
yes.
certified or not in, because I think computer science is a different discipline than just a math teacher.
Right, right.
Or just a science teacher.
Right.
I think it's a different discipline.
Well, and we do not have a lot of teachers coming out of our colleges and universities right now with just a
Computer science.
computer science degree to teach. So yes, there would have to be some additional work that these teachers
Could
would
be
have to do.
STEM or some other that could possibly be able to do that.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I understand where we're going. I just want to make sure that we're not setting some of our school systems up for students to fail,
No.
but we don't have the proper teachers and units and what have you there to be able to make sure that they get all of the teaching that they need.
We got to have the qualified staff in order to make sure that these kids can get the requirements that they need in order to graduate.
And that's in every school system.
Every school system, beginning in 2031 and 32. So knowing this is coming, this would allow some of those science and some of those math teachers to take the necessary or required, additional coursework in order to be able to teach the computer science class once it becomes a requirement.
So we got about 5 years to get it right.
Yes, sir.
I got you.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing no questions, Mr. President, I ask for final passage using the previous roll.
Is there any objection? Secretary, call the roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
3 ayes, no nays, bill passes.
Thank you, Mr.
Secretary,
President.
call
Thank
the
you,
next
members.
bill.
On page 26 of the calendar, House Bill number 249 by Representative Faulkner regarding guardianships and conservatorships. BR pending.
Mr. President,
Senator Zorn.
I'd move adoption of the BIR using the previous roll.
Any objection? Secretary, call the short roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
Ayes. 30 ayes, no ayes, the BIR passes. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 26 of the calendar, House Bill number 249 by Representative Faulkner regarding guardianships and conservatorships.
Mr. President,
Secretary, call.
Mr. President,
There he is. Go ahead.
I recognized. Thank you. I yield to the gentleman across the way. Friendly
Senator
amendment.
Cavan, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an amendment.
Secretary, read and receive the amendment.
Amendment to House Bill number 249 by Senator Gavan. Replace line 91 on page 4 with the following. Replace line 557 on page 20 with the following. Replace line 654 on page 24 with the following.
Senator Cavan.
So, thank you, Mr. President. So, and I've discussed this with the sponsor, but this just clarifies that hospitals that sometimes have to go in and get guardians appointed are in position to do that. Sometimes a patient may get dropped off that has no family and is not capable of taking care of themselves, and this is to address that. And so if there's no questions, I would move for adoption of the amendment using previous roll without objection.
Is there any objection? Secretary, call the short roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
Thirty ayes, no nays, the amendment's adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Work.
Mr. President, I'd move third reading using the previous roll.
Is there any objection? Secretary call a short roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, no nays. Bill passes. Secretary call the next bill, please.
On page 66 of the calendar, House Bill number 626 by Representative Witt regarding tax increment districts. BIR pending.
Mr. President, I move the BIR using the previous roll with no objection.
With no objection, call the roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, no nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary call the bill.
On page 66 of the calendar, House Bill number 626 by Representative Witt regarding tax increment districts.
Mr. President. Mr. President, this is the same, HB 626 is the same bill as y'all heard me read last week when I was barely able to talk last week, SB 370. It's the same identical bill, and I move for final passage using previous roll with no objection.
Objection. Secretary call short roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, no nays, one abstention. Bill passes.
Thank you, Mr.
Secretary
President.
call the
Members.
next bill.
On page 64 of the calendar, House Bill number 545 by Representative Crowe and others regarding legal tender.
Mr. President,
Recognized.
I move for the BIR using the previous roll if there is no objection.
Is there any objection to previous roll? Secretary call the short roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
31 ayes, no nays. BR is adopted. Call the bill.
On page 64 of the calendar, House Bill number 545 by Representative Crowe and others regarding legal tender.
Mr. President.
Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mr. President, this House bill has been affectionately named the Alabama's Common Sense Act. As many of you know, we are no longer printing pennies, and so this bill provides framework for those cash transactions that that do not end in a 0 or a 5. The methodology outlined here in House Bill 545. This only applies to cash transactions, and when the final total ends in a 1 cent, 2 cent, 6 cent, or 7 cent, we will round that total down, and that tax calculation is not factored into this equation. When the total ends in 3 cent, 4 cent, 8 cent, or 9 cent, that cash transaction will be rounded up. If there are no other questions, I'll move for final passage.
Mr. President.
Senator.
That's all right. I see he just walked in. I just looking at the bill, this is Representative Crowe's first bill. And I just want to tell him congratulations, welcome to the legislature. And Senator Hovey, thank you for carrying this bill, and I've enjoyed getting to know him a little bit for breakfast in the mornings, and congratulate him on his first bill getting through here.
Mr. President.
You're recognized.
Mr. President.
Recognized.
Not so fast. This might have to take a little while. This might take some rounding up. This might take some rounding up on the first bill. We might have to round this up to the nearest dollar for a while. Y'all up here congratulating somebody on something you ain't talked to me about whether or not I liked it or not. You know?
I think the representative needs to listen now. He
Not
finally got
so
here.
fast, Junior.
Making him sweat back.
Yeah, let's talk about rounding up. You know, round it up. You know, I was under understanding that someone told me that if I went to the store, they didn't have to give me no change.
Not if you give correct change, they don't have to give you anything back.
You know, well, I'm sure no. And you're absolutely right. But they're talking about not even giving me my 2 pennies back. And I want my 2 pennies. So now we want to round up or round down. So I can either lose on some transactions or I can win on other transactions.
Or you can use credit.
No. Let's talk about the bill. We ain't talking about no credit.
part of the bill.
We know
only
we
applies
use a
to
credit
cash
card. We ain't got to go with that. I'm talking about what y'all don't carry in y'all pocket no more. Real change. Real change. I know none of y'all carry it in your pocket no more. Po folk only somebody carry it in their pocket. See? PO folk can't afford the other OR. I even got some pennies in here. All right? Let's talk about some real change. Give me my money back. I know exactly how much I had in my pocket. So y'all don't wear change in y'all pockets no more. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So tell me how this bill is gonna work again. Now I heard you run that up. 3 cents here, 4 cents. You trying to get by real fast with it. Now talk to me about this bill and what it's gonna do.
I thought I was stalling until the House sponsor got here.
I go in the store. I got a product that's worth $2.54. Now, where's my roundup gonna be?
Going to round that up to 55 cents.
Round it up to 55 cents.
You're going to pay with nickels. You got to round it up to 5 cents.
So you're gonna round it, so you're gonna take my penny.
That retailer will round up to.
You're gonna take my penny. So you're just gonna take my penny. So for every penny you take, you get richer. You get richer. Every time a big corporation takes a penny, they gets to count that, you get richer and richer off my penny. Just think about Walmart taking a number of pennies a day. Now, let's talk about, flip it on the other side, show me how it's gonna work the other way now.
All right, you have a total number you want to discuss?
Okay. No, give me, you tell me how it's gonna work on the downside.
All right, we round it. All right, so if your cash transaction ended in 22 cents.
22 cents.
We'd round it down to 20.
So you round it back down to 20.
So that, you just made a penny. We rounded up on 1, but we're gonna round down on 2 in that particular scenario. So
you're around, so that's what I'm asking. So I'm gonna win on some transaction and lose on the other.
That's right.
So you're basically banking that it's gonna basically level itself out over periods of time that I'm shopping.
Sure. And it is worth noting, I was reminded, now this is permissive, now it's not required. And so I imagine if you made a big fuss at the Circle K cash register, they may choose not to round up or down and take whatever change you have until we do run out of pennies, when they just are forced to round up or down.
So this is only after we run out of pennies. So therefore, why we need the bill? So what's the framework? I thought we were passing this bill as a framework.
It is.
To get it something done now.
It's effective immediately.
So, but it's not, but it's just permissive.
That's right.
So there's nothing mandatory about it.
No.
So I need to put an amendment on this bill in.
Why do you need to put an amendment on the bill?
So we can make it mandatory, that they have to.
But why would you want to make it mandatory?
So whether you can go up or down, but you said you'll make it permissive. If I make a fuss about it, they ain't got to give me nothing. So I want mine.
I don't understand what your amendment's going to do.
Well, I'm telling you what it's going to be. I'm going to make them give me my pennies.
You can just vote against this bill if you don't want it.
No, I just got to vote against this bill. I got other powers that I could do around here before I get to a vote. You know? Oh, I'm sorry. The gentleman had a question.
Yeah.
I'm going to yield back to the gentleman that asked the question, but I'm coming back.
Come on.
Oh, is that for me?
Mine.
Oh, I'm keeping my change in my pocket. So basically, this is permissive. It's not mandatory. So
have some of the retailers already quit using pennies?
I can't speak to any particular retailers, but this is in case they run out of pennies because they're no longer being produced.
Okay, but as long as they have pennies or let me ask this way. If I go to somewhere and it's $5.22 and I've got the $5.22 and I want to pay the $5.22, but they're going to round it down to $5.20. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
If you have the exact change, are they going to take it or are they going to still round it?
Absolutely.
Okay, that was my question.
Mr. President, could I be recognized?
Recognized.
Thank you. Senator, now, I just want to get this straight. This bill, who does this bill leave the discretion to? That's probably the biggest thing, to decide whether or not it go up or down in the rounding off. Who does that?
No, we're providing the framework for the rounding up or down.
And what's that? What's that framework?
The cent that transaction ends in. 1 cent, 2 cents, 6 cents, or 7 cents rounds down. 3 cent, 4 cent, 8 cent, 9 cent rounds up.
Well, what if I had 7 cents? Why I couldn't round up? 7 is closer to 10, isn't it?
To the nearest 5. It's 3 to 10 and only 2 to 5.
So if it's 5, then I lose 2 pennies. I'm gonna lose 2 cents. If I can't go to 10, won't I lose 2 cents?
You'll gain 2 cents if you go rounding down.
Because if it's, oh, I see what you're saying. But who has that choice to decide?
The one taking the cash.
The one who taking the cash.
That's right.
Or the retailer.
That's right.
All right. So why would we be calling this a consumer protection? If we ain't protecting the consumer, we protecting the round offer.
The round offer? Because at some point, you're going to have a retailer, you're going to encounter a situation that cash register doesn't have any pennies.
Okay, well,
you've got to provide some sort of definitive framework.
Well, see, right now, let me tell you, it's a little service station up there not too far from me where I stop and get gas all the time. And what made me stop to them because of, when we had the little gas shortage way back, they would always make sure that I got in line because, they knew I was coming down here, especially in the mornings. They said, we're going to make sure that you're able to purchase your gas. The reason I told you that because they're like this. If I go in there and I need $10 worth of gas, and the pump might go to $10, and how sometimes it runs just a little bit over when they don't have it preset. So if it runs to like $10.07, 8 cents, sometimes 12, they would just tell me then, just give me the $10. Okay? Now, on the other end, if it costs like $10.20, I have a quarter, okay? I put the $10 in the quarter, and then I said, keep the nickel. I come in there the next time, the tax is 10 cents, and then I want to have, well, it's $1, it would be 10 cents. Then they would say, well, you already got some money on the book. So you know what on the book mean?
Sure.
I figured you did. On the book, so don't worry about it. Why we can't set this up the same way? Same way. We've been doing this rounding stuff been going on, but see, it's been in an agreement with the merchant and the person that's standing there. Why we can't make it permissive like that now?
Well, because it sounds as though you've got a pretty good relationship with that merchant. So you've got an agreeable customer, consumer, an agreeable merchant. So you guys can figure out, the give and take and the ebb and flow. Well, not everyone has a relationship like that with their local corner store.
You're right.
If you got an adversarial relationship with your corner store owner, they may not be willing to let you keep some pennies on the book.
But now,
in those particular situations, you've got to be able to account for. That's where we come in, and we want to provide a framework that's fair to everybody.
But it would look like if they would have a relationship, they couldn't do that, that the consumer would probably just not shop there.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, so we can make an assumption that the person, that the people
we don't
who
make a lot
shop,
of those down here now.
the people who shop there, it must be a positive relationship for them to take their money and give to these people, and they give them, services back. So why can't we put some words in there that says something like what I was just talking about? A good amendment.
That's because I think we've got to provide, we can't assume that there's going to be that good relationship. It may be the only store around. I might be traveling through a part of the state that I don't know anybody at, and maybe I might wear my Auburn hat, riding through Tuscaloosa, and that merchant just decides not to be nice to me. I'd like to have some sort of provision in place to make sure that I'm taken care of, and they can't take advantage of me. So that's why it's a Consumer Protection Act.
All right, I can understand what you're saying there. I just want to add this point, though. Why can't we say an amendment like this? In the situations where the merchant and the purchaser come to a mutual agreement, then they can decide which way the round will go, round off.
Well, I would contend that you already provided an example of where that's taking place already.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything in this bill that's going to prevent that from continuing to happen if that relationship is a two-way street. So I think that's already going to be taken care of without an amendment.
Well,
We're not outlawing that friendly agreement.
But see, we silent on it. And see, we finna make a law. Mine was just a mutual agreement. But it look like we getting ready to make a law, and we're gonna codify what you just said, but we ain't codifying what I'm saying.
Well,
I want to codify.
Does the law now not stand that you have to provide correct change for whatever your transaction is at the service station, right? You couldn't just walk out with that assumption without paying them the correct amount unless they gave you permission to do so. So I think it's not currently stated in law, so I think there's no need to overstate it in this one.
Okay, all right, me saying that I will agree, I'm gonna go along with you, you're a good man. Well, why we need this bill then? I mean, if we don't need to say that, why we need to say this?
Because there's gonna come a day in the near future, since we're not producing any more pennies, that we're not gonna be able to just let one go. You gotta have some framework to round up or down. If that agreement can't be made, and we've got a merchant that demands exact change, but there is no exact change.
Okay, well then you see it, you hit on something real important. You said we're not gonna make any more pennies for right now. Just say it like that, because it doesn't matter about party. This person gonna be gone in 3 years. The next one in there, no matter what party, they may say I like pennies, and then we start back making pennies again. Now let me say this: wouldn't the fact that we're not making pennies and we needing pennies, wouldn't that increase the value of pennies? I mean, if we didn't do this, if we said you got to have that penny, think about all them pennies these folk got in these jars.
Yeah.
And think that a penny may end up being worth a dime.
It sure could.
Well, but if we pass this bill, we're gonna cut that out. Everyone have a chance to do that. We got the coin collectors in here. Anybody collect? There you go. See them? We got two coin collectors. Now we finna mess them up where they can't get the value of their pennies.
Well, it's speculative as to whether or not that's actually going to go up to the value of a dime, so we don't know if we're hurting it or not. Right now, it's worth 1 cent.
It may not. Okay, I'm with you. I know, but this is the moment now. See, think about it like this. Let me ask you a question. What committee was this bill in? Do you remember?
Banking and insurance.
Sure was. I can't say what I was going to say.
You've had lots of opportunities.
Yeah, I was in there. I was in there.
We appreciate that affirmative vote earlier.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you one today. I just want to put a little tweak on it. What about just that little tweak I said, that they can work out something mutual? Put it in the bill now.
I really have faith in humanity, and I think our corner market proprietors are going to still be good to you. I'd like to depend on that.
I like that spirit you got with faith in humanity. I like that, though. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I just like it. You know,
I'm an eternal optimist.
it's a phrase that I use a little different though, and that is what you're doing, you're keeping hope alive.
That's right.
Okay. Now, who's the representative that sponsored the bill?
He better still be on the floor.
Oh, he's up here.
Representative Crow.
How long he been in the legislature?
Guess about 3 months.
About 3 months. What he say? Oh, since January 14. Oh, this is for a bill.
Yeah, not mine though.
Yeah, this is for a bill. Oh, he needs.
I'm getting beat up on somebody else's behalf.
With that, I'm gonna yield this mic. That's good enough.
Mr. President,
You recognize, Ms. Figures.
thank you. I have an amendment, and I think it's going to make this bill much better. You know how I am about treating everybody fairly? So I think the consumers will be treated fairly as well as the businesses, since this rounding up or rounding down
Clerk,
can
read
go either way.
Amendment first.
I'm sorry.
I made a mistake. Will the
Thank you.
clerk read and receive the amendment?
Amendment to House Bill 545 by Senator Figures. Replace line 50 on page 2 with the following.
Okay, what the following says is, any overage paid by rounding up pursuant to this section shall be deposited by the retailer or seller into the Education Trust Fund on a monthly basis. Any rounding down shall be a tax credit to the retailer or seller. So I think that is fair, and it answers the questions about where does the extra money goes to the multi-million and multi-billion dollar companies who definitely will, would definitely have an advantage on this bill. So with that, Mr. President, I'd like to ask for passage of this amendment, please. Calling the long roll.
I move to table that amendment.
I ask you to vote no.
Got a motion to table.
Roll call.
Secretary, call a long roll.
I ask you to vote no. This is a very fair amendment to both the consumer and the retailer.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler.
I urge you to vote no on behalf of your citizens you represent.
Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chasteen. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures.
No.
Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods.
Five ayes, 8 nays. The amendment is tabled.
Mr. President,
Mr. President.
I have some questions for the sponsor, please. Senator Hovey.
Go ahead, Senator Figures.
Thank you. Okay, you mentioned that they may or may not. Can you explain who the who is that may or may not? Is it the retailer, or does the consumer need to know this prior to be able to tell them don't round it up or round it down or whatever?
No, the retailer.
How does that work?
The retailer or the recipient of the funds would be the one to decide whether or not to round up or down. I would assume based on their availability.
Can you speak into the mic? And I've got chatter around me. I can't really hear you.
The retailer would be the one to decide, and I would presume that would be based on what they had available in the means of pennies. So they could use the exact change if they wanted to without.
You would assume, but it's not in the bill. Well, don't you think that they are going to make sure that they do it because it's in their best interest? So what we're actually doing is putting a tax increase on the citizens of Alabama. That is what you would call it. You know, as I was growing up, my parents taught me that pennies make dollars. And to this day, I still pick up a penny if I see one. And when I think about what this can do to people who already in this economy don't have much money to make ends meet, it's going to end up being a lot of money over time taken out of their bank accounts. So I can just say you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. I think this was a very fair amendment to both the retailers and definitely for the consumers. But thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President? I move
Yes,
to final
Senator Hovey.
passage using the previous roll if there is no objection.
Mr. President, I'd like to speak to that motion.
Senator Singleton, go ahead.
I'm just giving Jackson prayer. But, you know, let me just say this to you. I talked to some of the people who are in food service business and the grocery business who are giving me a call about this bill. Initially, you know, I had some real issues about this bill and where it was going. And then when I finally looked at it closely, I gave them my word this morning that I would not filibuster this bill. And so with that, I'm not going to stand on the cross on this because Jesus already did that for me. So I'm going to let it go.
Thank goodness we celebrated his resurrection just a few days ago.
We're going to let it go. We're going to let it go this time. All right? But I still think that it needs to be something out there, you know, mandatory. I understand that there's federal law out there, that if the federal law do something inconsistent, we'll at least have some basis to where we're going. You know, all of this is Trump's fault. This is one man who just decided that he don't want to see pennies no more. Rich folk could do that. He don't have no change like I got change in my pocket. He probably don't have no change anyway. But he's messing up a system for a whole lot of people because you basically need pennies to make change. And so now the system is getting marked up. We got to go through all this legislative change to be able to do that. I mean, the cost for printing that mint, yeah, you may have that cost, but when you're spending $200 million a day almost on a war that's really not the people's war, then what's the cost of a mint for a penny? It's a penny. That's it. We could still have that circulating in, and we wouldn't even have this problem, but we want to spend all this money on wars, but we'll say that it costs us too much to print the penny. But it doesn't cost us too much to have a B-2 bomber to fly over. That's a problem with me. That's a problem with me. And so when we start talking, and I was glad to see the senator bring up his amendment resolution about debt and the debt that we continue to go in. Yes, it's not only Trump. There's other presidents that's caused debt also, but the debt that we continue to go in deeper and deeper, this president is doing almost $1.5 trillion You know, you're going to have the military that's asking for $1.5 trillion in their budget, more than 50% increase because we're at war now. But we can't print the penny because it costs too much. That disrupt the whole economic system because they're trying to make way for things like crypto. I know there's going to be a shift in the currency in the probably next 15 years, well, less than that. Probably in the next 10 years, we probably won't be using coins at all. It'll probably just be a card. Probably won't even be printing money anymore because of where this nation is going and how the world currency is going. I remember back in the 70s when gold was the piece. And so when gold was tied in to all of the nations and everybody had to use the US dollar, it made the US dollar very strong. Then when we broke away from gold, we went in and Nixon dumped it into oil. Then all those OPEC nations that was going to use oil as their resource didn't have to tie that oil and pay for it with US dollars, made the US dollar strong again. And so here we are now, we're talking about getting rid of mints like pennies, and next it'll be the nickel, then the dime, and just sooner or later, we're just gonna get rid of currency altogether. And so at this point, he messed this up. You mess up and said that it cost us too much to print a penny. Just like the day that he was standing up and said, well, I decided it just need to be the Gulf of America. No meaning, nothing, no basis for doing it at all. And we continue to follow this clown show. We continue to follow it. As a nation, Congress continue to follow this, continue to let him do the things that he's doing with no check and balances. This is not about what the American people want. I bet you any retailer did not want to have to go through these problems because they would rather just go in their change drawer, have some pennies, and give back to the customer. Now they got to round up, round down. It's going to be paperwork because people are going to want it balanced, the books balanced. It's going to be a problem with balancing books and whether or not it went up, down, paying taxes back to revenue, how much tax should have came off on your sales. Well, some we went round up, we round down, whether or not we're going to be giving revenue proper money coming back into our coffers. A lot of that have those unintended consequences that nobody's really thinking about. So this bill may give us a little structure. It may give us a little structure to where there is some structure there because now you don't just have what this senator was trying to do is some merchant just having that whole round down all the time, having the customers to lose, and they just taking those pennies and piling them up as profits. So all of that has implication. All of that can be done. And one would say, oh, that's just pie in the sky, that's dreaming. No, you're talking about money rushing through and people spending fast money. It happens all the time. People get shorted change every day simply because they can't count sometimes. Sometimes people get the wrong change because you just go there and they just doom, 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 doom. And I know I go to the cash register. Sometimes if you give some of these young kids that work in the grocery store, if you said $2.10, if you get them, if it's $15.10, you give them $20.10, they be standing there looking at you like they don't know how much change to give you back. You better not give them a penny or two. They're looking at you like, what I give back? They got to pull out their phone and hit the calculator. And I'd be like, baby, just give me $1. Or baby, just give me, just give me 50 cents. That's all it takes. Give me 2 quarters. You try to help them out, and maybe this is going to help them, just rounding it up, rounding it down. Because a lot of people are going to get that round up, round down. They're not going to just get it. And so companies are either going to cheat us as customers, because they're not going to cheat themselves. Or unless they got some incompetent people at the cash register and then some people going to get fired because they rounded up too many times and they didn't round down some, okay? And so at the end of the day, you're going to get, but this bill is going to get out. The representatives are part of my delegation in Tuscaloosa. I do want to see him pass his first bill, and I understand where this bill is going, and I know it's permissive. But Again, this president caused this problem while he's still out here spending $200 billion a day, $200 million a day on a war and that we did not ask for, a war that's not necessary, a war that in January of last year when he came in, he went in and bombed Iraq and then came out with a conclusive statement saying that he had destroyed all nuclear potential that Iran had. And all of a sudden now they have built, in less than a year, they've built those potentials again. Something is just not right. You know, something is just not right here. And so we're at war, we're losing our people, we're losing our young men at war. If they send in ground troops, they're gonna be dead. We're gonna be losing. So the Trump administration is the cause for all of this. He asked for this, this is what he's gonna get. Now legislations all over all 50 states are having to pass laws like these just to try to come to some kind of conclusion for consumers so that people won't be taken advantage of. Because if you go into some of these stores right now, they are already rounding up, rounding down in their favor, you know? And so I had to say to a gentleman just last night, give me my change. I want mine. Give me my money. You take the loss. I shouldn't have to take the loss. Give me my money. You know, so people like me gonna still be there telling them, give me my money. You know, and they're gonna probably say no, and then you're gonna get some arguments in some stores. You might have some folks fighting over a couple of pennies because the merchant decided that they just didn't want to give somebody or round it down instead of rounding it up. And of course, the customer ain't gonna say nothing when they feel like they got that nickel or that dime in their favor. They're never gonna say anything like that. You know, I went to a store, in the same store, I remember once, it was probably 6 months apart. I went to a store and I went in and I got out and I got gas. The pump was on, so I didn't go to the store. I got in the store, on my phone, jumped in the car, took off. Didn't pay for the gas. Boom. Here comes the police behind me. Boom. They call the cops to come get me, take me back. It's an oversight. What's trying to steal gas? Went back, paid, went back to that same service station about 6 months later, intentionally went in and paid for gas and did not get the gas. Went off and drove off. Did the police come and get me to tell me to come back and get my gas? No, they didn't. So I went back in to let them know that the difference is that you want to win all the time, but you don't care if I lose as a merchant. See, because he wanted to, because he lost by me taking that gas and driving away and not paying him. But when I paid him and didn't pump the gas, he didn't call the police to come get me to get my gas. Same scenario. So it's gonna be like that in these stores with these pennies. And people gonna be mad when they realize that they're not getting their change back. And it's not your fault or my fault, it's Trump's fault. And I'm gonna put on all these stores every time in my district, anybody saying, call me about it, so call Trump. Call the President of the United States. And not one Republican said anything about it. So, but I did have a good friend from Auburn try to carry a bill to try to make it right. Try to give y'all something, you know, good friend out of Tuscaloosa who tried to do something about it. Both of them are the Republican Party though. But they ain't saying nothing about this war that he has going on out here. Pumping billions and billions of dollars in a war that's causing our economy to be unaffordable. That same price of eggs that y'all beat Kamala with has not gone down. That same price of egg has probably gone up a little bit higher. Gas has gone up. The one thing that I gave Trump a little credit for was that gas didn't go up. And now I can't give him credit for that no more. This gas has gone sky high. $4.47 in some areas, $4.50 in some areas. People are paying unaffordable prices, and people can't go back and forth to do the things they want to do. I know you, ain't nothing you can really say about it because it's the truth. You have to pay them same prices that I have to pay. You know, maybe they need to give y'all a card because he always segregating stuff out. Maybe give Republicans a card to say that when you go to the store, you only have to pay $4.29 versus $4.79. You know, because he always point out Democrats and Republicans and want to do things for Republicans versus Democrats, as if we're not all American. Well, he said Democrats are totally un-American, that we are just dumb and crazy, and he talks about us like, you know, we really shouldn't even be here because we are Democrats. That's what happens with this president who says that he's a loyal American, but he talks about other Americans as if we should not be here. He don't care whether it's black, white, Hispanic, whatever. If you say you were a D, you just it. But we go along with that, and you laugh at it, and you say it's okay. And when you don't speak about it, because tyranny will only exist when good men and women sit around and say nothing. It only exists when good men. So now you talk about a president who's saying he's going to align out a whole nation and just take them out, wipe them out, send them back to Stone Age. Just wipe them out. A whole civilization. We've never had a president, even presidents that went to war had never talked about wiping out civilization when we're supposed to be a Christian country. That's nothing that that man has done to me or you personally, or that regime has done to me or you. Most of the stuff that they've done have been to their people. Okay, if they bombed over there, a lot of times, like, we're a sanctified nation. We're not. We do stuff to people also. Let's admit that and understand where we sit in the world order. And we sit in a world order that gives us freedom. I appreciate the freedom that we get. I really do. But my people died for this same freedom also. So don't treat me like I'm somebody's second-class citizen anymore because you don't want to do the right thing. So not printing pennies is causing the problems that we're having here today. It is causing the problems that we're going to have in the future if we don't get it right. This president that no one wants to speak up against, this president that everybody seems to be afraid of to say that you're wrong, this president that's going to war and say, I think it's tomorrow night about 8 o'clock, which would be about 3 a.m. in the morning in Iran, you know, which is be out tomorrow night, it'll be 3 a.m. in the morning over there, that he's supposed to be bombing that nation and just sending everybody, unless he get a piece of cord. He's not going to get that. When you got a man that'll wake up in the morning and strap a bomb to his body and go and blow up everybody, you think he care about dying or what your piece of cord? That nation of people who don't care. So and they die to go to see their God. Ain't none of us rushing to go see Jesus. Ain't none of us rushing to go see our Savior. No, none of us want to die. These people want to go and see Allah. So we're talking about fighting a nation of people who don't care and who see that as glorification, who see that as a martyr. They're given a trophy. Because if they leave home and go off to war and come back, and they're not looking at us as heroes. We see our men as his hero. We give them purple hearts and stars for coming back. These guys, they have not done the work if they come back. And so to tell a nation like that you're just going to do what you're going to do to them, you're not making them afraid of you. What you're doing is making yourself look bad because you know you're not going to do that. Because what they call him taco, Trump always chicken out. T-A-C-O, taco. Trump always chicken out. He always bag out at the last minute for whatever it is that he say he's going to do. But he'll sit here and take away pennies. I'm staying germane to the subject matter. He'll take away pennies that cost pennies on the dollars to print, but we're sending bombs in a nation that costs hundreds of millions of dollars on the dollar to print. That's just not right, and we're all okay with it. We say we do it in the name of freedom. We do it in the name of American liberation. For what? When we've already said, he already, in his own words, confirmed that there was no threat of nuclear weapons in Iran. You got rid of the head of the regimes. You killed everybody on day one. You killed everybody that could make those calls. What you're doing now is that if you're going to do a regime change like we've always done that, like in Venezuela and other areas that we've done regime changes, then do that. If that's what you're going to do. That's if you can find somebody over there who's going to agree with you. I just don't think you can do that with a regime change. I think that we need to realize that all of these are human beings. If we say that we're a Christian nation, and we need to sit down and be at peace and live in the world among everybody, that we need to live in the world as a peaceful nation. We say this, I don't know what happens in that country or what they do to their people or anybody else. I hear the stories, but our intelligence are made up lies a whole lot of times just to be able to do things that wasn't true. And so I just don't know what to trust. I don't know who to trust in terms of those intelligence these days, whether or not, you know, the Ayatollah, whatever he is over there, have been killing his own people. They said they used to chain children to a chain and let them go through mines and pick out the mines and let them blow up the mine. None of that really made worldwide news before. That is something that I think that the Human Rights Accord would have looked at. Of course, some human rights would have said, hey, man, guys, that's totally wrong. World nations around there probably would have come together. But they say that, but I just never seen those reports before or never heard of that. That would have made world news. Right now, we got news all over the world. I can remember when ABC, NBC, CBS was the only thing we had, and we just had to wait to hear what was going on the other side of the world. I remember when NBC News faked a war in Iran just to get ratings. In the 1970, 1974, they faked the war. They got sued for faking the war, for reporting a fake war, just to get ratings. There's something wrong with that. And so I don't know. So right now we have satellites all over the world that can shine out. We got orbits that we got spaceships that's orbiting around the moon right now. I think they're on their way back home now. They're probably getting slingshotted back around, and Earth gravity is pulling back towards, and they'll come on down and land somewhere in the ocean. But at the end of the day, those are the things that we as Americans are proud of what we're doing in science and exploration. But just bombing people to be bombing people, we shouldn't be proud of that. Those are lies. Whether they're military or whether they're civilian, I don't understand how people can separate a civilian life from a military life. That's still lies. Because we don't do it when our boys go out to war and say, well, they just killed a military person and they didn't bomb me as a civilian. These are someone's children. They are family to someone also. They have loved ones that don't wear the uniform also, that they're trying to go back home to also, just like our soldiers come back home to us, and we're proud to have them back home to us. But we want to bomb someone, we'll say, oh, it was a military installation, and you kill 300 people. Oh, but they were just military. How do we separate that? How are we going to look at our Christ in the face and say, when the day of our Maker, to say, oh, they were just military. I didn't mind killing them because they were military. You think he distinguished the difference between a military life and a civilian life? Because some of those people who are there, just like our soldiers, are just carrying out an order that their commanding officer asked them to do so. They're being loyal to their military just like we have soldiers that are loyal to our military. But we want to kill people and drop bombs in the name of freedom, when we're not being encroached upon, when we're not being threatened. I could see it if there was a threat. Still to this day, the war that's going on now have not been solidified by Congress as to why we are doing it. And I'm gonna be through with this, and I'm gonna let this bill go, because I know we got other bills we're gonna go. We got an event that we wanna go to. But this is all Trump's fault, And this is the Republican Party who are scared because Taco out there, Trump always chicken out. The GOP seem to be afraid. This is just the guardian of the pedophiles. They want to keep this Epstein files out of the people's light. So you go start a war. And we stand on that and allow him to just take over. And we'll pass a law right here now, making sure that a 16-year-old who rapes a child goes to prison and can be charged with the death penalty. Rightfully so. But we'll allow our President of the United States to protect all the rich billionaires of the world for all the atrocities that they've done to little girls. And we say it's all right. Mr. President, with that, I'll yield to the gentleman and let him pass this bill.
All right, thank you. I was trying to figure out how that was germane. All right. All right.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Move for final passage using long roll.
All right, Secretary, call long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman-Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams. Mr. Woods.
All right, 31 ayes, 1 nay. House Bill 545 passes. This is Representative Crow's first bill. Congratulations on your first bill passage. All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
Page 61 of the calendar, House Bill number 98 by Representative Treadaway regarding college tuition. BR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator Barfoot.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd move for adoption of the BIR using previous rule.
All right, any objection? All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
$31 ayes, 1 nay. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
Yeah, please.
On page 61 of the calendar, House Bill number 98 by Representative Treadaway regarding college tuition. Committee substitute pending.
Mr. President, I'd move to table the committee substitute.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Committee substitutes tabled. Senator Barfoot.
Mr. President, thank you. I see my colleague across the way has a sub I think he wants to introduce.
All right, Senator Orr.
Mr. President.
Senator Orr.
Thank you. I have a substitute to offer.
All right, Secretary Reed, receive the substitute.
Substitute for House Bill 98 by Senator Orr.
Senator Orr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is a obviously a substitute, makes a few changes to the bill. Main thing it does is reins in the cost and future cost of the bill. It will, after the threshold of $10 million is hit in the black car tag fund, that money, once it clears $10 million, the cost for the scholarship plan will no longer come out of the ETF. It'll come out of the new car tag fund that's created also in this bill. So I'd move adoption of the substitute using the previous role, Mr. President.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton, Mr. Woods.
Thirty-two ayes, 0 nays. Substitutes adopted. Senator Barfoot.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, I'd move for final passage of HB 98 as substituted using the previous role.
Mr. President, I'd like to start my first hour.
All right.
I apologize to you what I just said to roll. This is not the bill that I wanted to roll on, okay? I did not know this bill was on the calendar. I just think that this is a bad bill. We're sending these presidents to give money to scholarships to police officers. I understand there may be 16,000 officers that are out there that we're going to give these scholarships to. We're already giving to military families. So who are going to be next? Firefighters, paramedics? Who's going to be next? You know, why can't we not giving our own children the ability to go to college? And we sit here and we pass bills to do that. I have a problem with this. We just can't keep opening this door and taking away from children in the ETF. And so I appreciate the chairman for bringing an alternative a method of being able to fund this. You know, we have retired teachers who are out here struggling every day to try to find a way to get a COLA. This tag, if it's making this amount of money, could go to helping retired teachers get a COLA. We could set up a fund that we could sell that tag and get retired teachers a COLA. I saw that tag last night. I saw one from Mississippi. It's a pretty black tag with white letters. And then I saw another one. It was from Tennessee. So Tennessee and Mississippi has this tag. I know I saw them both on the road Saturday night. It wasn't last night. It was on Saturday night coming out of Huntsville. And so I think it's a beautiful tag. You know, it's different, all black with just clean white letters on it. It looks good. And one was like on a black Mustang. It was sweet too, you know. And another guy had one on a black Ford F-150 that I remember seeing. And I was trailing them, and I saw it. I said, "Wow, that's that tag." Because I sit on the tag committee, and I know we don't have it here in the state of Alabama, but it's a beautiful tag. And I was just talking to members of the Retired Teachers Association last week when we left here. And I told them, I said, we got to get a hook. Let's find a hook, because it seems that we're not going to be able to get a COLA funded directly out of the ETF. Let's look at a hook like the tag. They said, well, we got 100,000 retired teachers that are out there. Just think if 100,000 retired teachers bought this tag along with other people, the money that could go into a fund there and then be matched by the ETF up to a certain amount. It could start a fund for them to be able to get a COLA. It may take 5 to 10 years for it to get to that COLA amount, but at least it's a hook. And we don't have to keep coming up with a one-time check. I would rather do that than to do it for these police officers and their children, you know, because I don't know how many that can be. You know, and I think that the chairman in committee did a conservative explanation based on if there was a family of 4, and at the end of the day, they may have had one child who's going to go in, and let's say if you got 16,000 APOS certified officers that are out there, plus your bill has just allowed these cities to get more A+ certified officers. So they're going to be 16,000 plus that's going to go on based on the bill that you passed. They're going to be for Montgomery and at least Huntsville. And other cities, Birmingham is steadily hiring more officers. This, you know, the state of Alabama, and I don't know whether it just dealt with city cops, state cops, sheriff departments. All of those people are out there in terms of A-post officers that are in the state, and maybe they all intertwine in the 16,000. But at the end of the day, I don't know what that number is going to look like. It's almost like when we tried to do the veteran thing for allowing veterans, and we had to, it was just veterans almost everywhere. People from Atlanta was coming in and getting that scholarship, and we had to make it just Alabama veterans, okay? And I understand this will be just Alabama officers, but at the end of the day, when is it going to stop? Because next session, somebody else is going to say, that was a great idea. Let's go in and let's do it also. And then it's going to be the paramedics. Then it's going to be volunteer firefighters. Then it's going to be, you know, the weekend soldiers. I think we even gave military soldiers who does weekends some money out of ETF. When does it stop? We just want to, I mean, I don't have a problem with educating people. We need to educate our educated society. But every profession can ask for that. Every profession can ask for that. And so what are we doing here? This is a dangerous door to be opening. And I'm glad that the chairman shifted out of the education trust and shifted over into another area to where they're at least going to have to work for it and sell some of these tags and make sure these tags get sold in order for them to get the benefit that they want to get. I think you said you want to have something to say. I'm going to yield to the gentlelady from Jefferson for a moment and allow her to speak, but I'll be right on back.
Mr. President, am I recognized? Thank you so much. To the gentleman, I am not filibustering this bill at all. Actually, I will support the piece of legislation. But my challenge is also the siphoning off of the ETF. We all know that because of the big whatever bill, that we're going to have some major deficits. 2027 budget and definitely 2028. We are going to have to bite the bullet as a legislative body, and we're going to have to come up with some level of revenue. And it was hard for me to take this session when I offered a piece of legislation that we could have come back, provided the voters actually voted. I had some legislation to allow the voters of the state of Alabama to determine if they want us to come back to work on gaming in the state. That would have raised revenue. If we came back, this is what the voters said, raise revenue and as it relates to a lottery, casino gaming. Folks in the state of Alabama are sports betting all over, but we get not one piece of revenue here in the state of Alabama. That bill provided the citizens of the state of Alabama decided they wanted us to work on that issue. It would have also allowed the governor to go into a compact with our Native Americans here in the state of Alabama. Gaming is happening here. Gambling is happening in the state of Alabama already, and we're not capturing that revenue. We need revenue. Then we could do not only scholarships for law enforcement like what we're doing here, and again, I am going to vote yes on this bill. This year, we passed legislation, and thanks to all my colleagues, a bill that I sponsored along with Representative Treadaway downstairs to help firefighters. So I can promise you, next year, I'm probably gonna come with something when it comes to our firefighters. My colleague has already talked about other first responders. When we just do one entity, it's as if we're picking winners and losers. And on the military piece, I was a product. My dad, y'all hear about my dad all the time. Somebody asked me, do you have a mother? Because you talk about your dad all the time. Of course I have a mother. My mom is alive and well. And if you ever wondered where I got the gift of gab from, it comes from her. As a matter of fact, one day she called me. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I said, Mama, I still got a little bit of time. You know, my alarm clock has not, gone off yet. And And she said, well, just listen. So about 45 minutes later, when my alarm clock did go off, and I picked the phone back up, she was still talking. So it definitely comes from her. But I was a product. I was able to, so yes, I get it honestly. I was able to go to college because of not only the National GI Bill, but also what we do here for scholarships in the state of Alabama for disabled veterans and their dependents, and I was a dependent. I had the opportunity to go undergrad, but also to grad school. But then as those costs ballooned, we changed the law here. I was upset about it too. We changed the law because of the rising cost to where you could no longer get a graduate level of degree. We had to do that. I can see the same thing happening here. As the numbers increase, again, the gentleman mentioned Birmingham. We're almost at 100% capacity, thanks to the ingenuity of the mayor and the council, and also having the budget to be able to offer those incentives for folks to become police officers. And actually where I work at the jail. That's where my courtroom is, at the jail. So I see all of those new recruits, all of those young people. But this is gonna continue to balloon and continue to cost money. So we have got to have some real discussions in this body about raising revenue. What does that look like? Because the costs are going to increase. How do the people in the state of Alabama receive services? They get them through taxes. That's how we pay for things. So we've got to start having real discussions about how we're going to raise revenue in the state of Alabama. This was just my opportunity to state just that to the gentleman on the other side. And again, I just truly hope that next session, we're going to do just that. Bring up gaming. Give people in the state of Alabama the opportunity to vote on that. I've got some other ideas. I did some research, actually talked to the chair of the general fund budget about how you go shopping now and all you see are, self-checkouts. So that means people are losing jobs. Now, it bothers me to, if I gotta come in there and get my groceries or get my items, and then I gotta work too to do self-check. But if that is the direction that we are going in, we need to raise some revenue off of the self-check machines because now people are losing their jobs. So I brought an initiative to him on that. Did some research. Other states are already doing it, but we've got to raise some revenue in the state of Alabama so we can not only do scholarships for our law enforcement officers, but our other first responders, and we need scholarships available for people who are going to teach STEM in the state of Alabama, but also, as my colleague has said, we have retirees that have not had a raise in 20+ years. Many of us in here, we went to public school. Somebody who taught us, that paved the way and prepared us to serve and do what we do today, they're not getting any major, they're not getting any increases as it relates to the funding for them. And we need to do something about that. So with that, Mr. President, I'm gonna leave my comments there, but I hope we truly as a body come up with some ways to raise some revenue.
Senator Coleman, before you leave,
I'm gonna yield my time back to Senator Bobby Singleton.
All right, if I can get y'all's attention, I want to recognize a special guest on the floor. We have the House Rules Chairman, Joe Lovern. Welcome to the Alabama Senate. Great to have you. And it's my understanding that if you got a request, that he's taking picklick requests from the House over there. Thank you for coming to the Senate to get that. We appreciate you. All right.
Mr. President, if I could, let me just say something. I know Senator Coleman, very passionate about, excuse me, very passionate about public safety, and you did have a piece of legislation regarding Parkinson's disease on those first responders, the fire folks, and so I know you're very passionate about that. I just want to acknowledge that publicly again.
Well, thank you for using my time to make that acknowledgement. But I'm I'm okay with people who does public service, and I love police officers, and I ride with them sometime in my area, in my district. I appreciate what they do. I also appreciate what you do. As a legislator. Well, I want to deal with your public service. I appreciate what you do as a public servant. And I don't see anybody who ready to say they need benefits. Okay? Their children need to go to school for free, or they need a raise. You know, our raises are based in a constitution. Now, if we want to get a raise for us or get retirement for us, we got to have a constitutional amendment. Thanks to your side of the aisle for that, but you weren't here when it happened, so I don't blame you for that. But it's just the truth. And so when we look at that, you know, we put a lot of hours in. And I'm not here standing against this bill because nobody gives us anything. It's just the fact that I think it opened up these doors and continue to open up these doors for other folks to want, and rightfully so they should want, if we allow this to happen. You know, I'm okay when we, you know, because we do so much stuff with our veterans, and we talk about, you know, veteran benefits and becoming a military-friendly state. Sometimes we get benefits coming back from that. You get Space Command, you get whatever the other command that we got, you get Marshall Space Center, you get FBI, and you get other federal dollars that are coming in. We got over $53 billion that came in our state, from COVID from the first Trump through the Biden administration. Over $53 billion came to the state of Alabama from the federal government. And we can get soldiers and veterans something, and I'm fine. But we're talking about, if we're talking about fallen police officers who have left their children and they need to go to college after they have gotten killed or something in the line of duty, I'm all for that. But people who are alive and well and get up and go to work and have to work like we do to send our children to college, what makes them any different than us? I'm not against them, but what makes it so different from the volunteer fire department, or different from the paramedic, or the guy who's hanging off the fire truck that's running into that dangerous fire all the time? What difference than he is from them? They're all on the first responder line, and so are we going to be next year bringing bills for them also to do the same thing? Maybe they can get a part of the tag also. Now that it's out the ETF, but the ETF is still going to give up to $10 million. I would love to see us come up with some innovative way to deal with these teachers, retired teachers in a COLA. Nobody ever think about a hook to give them what they need. And they're all partly responsible for why we're standing here. We all had to be educated by someone. And that same little teacher we said we love, that was our first love, was our teacher, some of us. That same teacher we said we love, who's at home right now, can't probably afford their medicine because of the price of eggs is so high, and because of the price of our power bills are so high that they can't afford their medicine. But that's that same little teacher we said we love, but then we want to give them only $1 for every year that they served, when they really wasn't making no money at that time anyway. They weren't making no money. Average teacher would make $1,000 a month, and it was a lot of money back in the 70s, 80s, 90s to them. $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, some teachers. Some of them was only making that with a master's degree. Heck, they ain't making too much higher than that now with a master's degree. And so we put a lot of incentives in. I must say that we raise our pay here in the state of Alabama to where we do a lot on the front end, and it balances up back off the back end in terms of where we are. Like most states have a high front and they drop. At least we have a middle session to where we can give a step raise here to to people who are doing well. And we do good by that. So teachers now are able to get some of those step raises and earn some of those step raises as they go and be able to get and earn a lot more money than those earlier teachers that we're talking about now that in retirement, the ones that we fell in love with, those that are still living, that you and I fell in love with. I remember my first grade teacher, Ms. Max Shan. I was just so in love with Ms. Max Shan, you know. And so I think we all have a teacher that we remember like that. But that same teacher probably sitting at home and can't afford stuff that we don't want to find a way to make them whole because someone says that it's an unfunded mandate. We like using those cute words like unfunded mandate when it comes down to our retired teachers. We don't want to give our retired teachers what they do, but we're willing to do this for every other profession, But we don't want to give our retired teachers their due. And I think that they deserve their due also. Maybe I need to put an amendment on here to add them in this bill to set up a retired teachers trust fund to be able to get them to where they need to go. This is just a bad bill focusing on police officers who does a great job in terms of service. They really do. They do a good job. But you know, all of those apples are not good apples out there. So we're going to reward the bad apples the right for their children to go to school. We're going to reward people the right to be able to just send their kids to college and pay for it for 4 years. There's not even a 2-year stipulation on it. Because even when we were talking about the gaming bill, even in the gaming bill, we had a 2-year stipulation on college in that, in terms of giving that. You remember that? In that bill? In this one here, there's no stipulation of 2 years unless I'm missing something. It's a full 4 years if they want to go to school. It doesn't just say technical education in this bill. And even in the gaming bill, where we knew that we could be getting much, much more money, we were only do 2 years. 2 years for education. And now this bill want to be able to give them all the time. But since my chairman has put an amendment on here that's kind of restricted to a little bit. And I'm gonna do like the senator from Jefferson said, I'm gonna do something the devil ain't never did for you. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna let y'all realize what you've done in the coming session. When everybody else come back running, I don't want to see no 100 no votes over there. I want to see y'all voting for it. Because I'm going to come back with a hook for retired teachers. Set up a fund. And for the ETF can then match it. See, can we help these retired teachers? Because I still love Ms. Max Shan and Ms. Kelly and Ms. Carpridge and Ms. Roan. Most of those are already deceased. But those are first grade teachers that was on the hallway. Those were second grade teachers and third grade teachers that taught me. You know, Ms. Norwood, my 5th grade teacher. You know, Ms. Washington, my 7th grade teacher. I can name them, those that I really, really liked and loved. Mr. Kelly, I ain't like him that much. Mr. Kelly used to pick me up by my collar and, you know, and Mr. Smith, who took little boys and helped raise us to men. Mr. Johnson, the same way. Mr. Roan, teachers like that in my life that I can still remember, who are sitting out here now still struggling on trying to make life better for themselves on a teacher retirement that really not yielding them with inflation. It's not yielding them with the inflation that we have. You know that as I know that. But we want to make sure, you know, because we don't know what these police officers are being paid, because right now the price is going up and up, because when you got cities that are giving $15,000 bonuses $10,000 bonuses to sign up to get an officer. And a lot of times it's so competitive for a post officer. This town will train you and get your A post where they may not be paying but $20 an hour, and somebody else will offer you $30 an hour, then they go and jump over there to $30 an hour or the $25 an hour job and leave that little town that basically trained them. I saw it happening in some of these small rural communities. They will go, they'll come in and get paid with them, and then they'll go on. If not the city, they'll leave and go to the sheriff department, or the sheriff and go to the state, or go to another city where they're paying more money. And I got no problem with people going to get more money. They should go and try to better for their families. But now we want to make sure that each and every one of them, regardless of how many children that they have, we didn't say up to so many children. You know, they can have 10 children in the household, and we want to make sure that each and every one of them, we already got AAA Act, they can go to school. Basically, we're giving them money, $10,000 per student under AAA for some things that we're giving them to them through high school, and then we're going to turn around and then pay for them to go all the way through college. And everybody's child is not getting that. I'm just talking about what's fair. What's fair to our society? What's fair to your children, your grandchildren, as a public servant who come and who in the middle of the night, and the thing about it is that people don't understand that sometimes we go through 50 different subject matters a day, and we are expected to be an expert on all 50 of them. When people walk in our office, they expect us to be an expert on every subject matter that they bring into our offices. And we got to fake it till we make it sometimes, and we don't know, because we don't have staff to research all of this stuff. You know, you look at this calendar. Each and every one of these bills on this calendar is a different subject matter, except a couple of them with education. And we got to be standing up here and talking about it, and somebody got to know something about it, each and every one of us. And as you know, a lot of us are not on the committees that some of this stuff come through. The first time we hear it sometimes is out here on this floor. And if we don't get the calendar early enough to where we can go back and try to look at them before they actually hit the floor, we're subject to dealing with it for the first time when we hear it right here on the floor. And that's 80% of the time that we are here, because we can get inundated with so much other stuff that's going on in our office, constituent services back home, things people are calling. Everybody has a problem. Everybody has a problem that is urgent right now, that they want you and I to have a solution to that problem right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. And you and I got to come up with something right now, or go and find the answer for someone to give them the answer. And so we have, this is a really high-stress job that we do. Yeah, there's somebody said, well, yeah, it's part-time. Yeah, it's part-time for those of you who don't do anything else outside of this. It's part-time for those of you who don't listen to your constituency. You know, because for those of us, like in district that I represent, and parts of the district that you represent, people have needs. You don't represent a rich district. You know, you got rural folks who need stuff. You got roads, and they bring to us more stuff that the county and the city should be solving than those of us that we should be solving. But we have to address those issues. I got to get on the phone and call that county commissioner. Tell that county commissioner, hey, let this thing roll over, baby. And let's get them some pavement down there. You know, we can try to help you. We can try to help you find some dollars to get that road paved, you know. So, but that's what you and I have to deal with. I know I do. You know, I could probably go back to the office and probably got a list of phone calls that are coming from people in the district back home that need things. And so we're not just right here. We're all over the place most of the time. And for those of us who represent our district and willing to confront our public and willing to deal with our people, we're going to get those things. Man, I get having to help pay light bills and gas bills and things of that nature all the time because people can't afford it. Because right now, inflation is up so high, people can't afford those things. That same retired teacher that we talked about needs some help, just like we're about to help these police officers with their children. Those retired teachers, not even talking about their children or grandchildren. They're just talking about themselves, the ability to be able to do medicine, the ability to be able to go to the bingo hall and sit down with their friends and just enjoy education. I mean, retirement. Just enjoy their retirement. They don't have that ability to do that. So I think this is a bad bill. And unlike some people who give me their words, I'm gonna keep to my word. And I did not know, it is my fault, I didn't look at this calendar closer this morning, because if I saw this on, I would have said, and they would have known that this bill was gonna be a problem. Because I said in committee, when I was on the committee, when this bill came through, that I was gonna talk on this bill. I thought it was a bad precedent to set. You know, we've already done it with military. Like I said, there's a lot that we get back from military, from the federal government, in terms of us doing something for our soldiers who serve here in this state. I don't have a problem with that. You know, but people, just like most of you all say about teachers, you chose your profession. Police officers chose their profession. We choose our professions to where we want to go in. And just like those retired teachers, we give them no bonuses or benefits for the services they do for 30 years of their lives, waking up each and every day dealing with our children for us. While we can go to work, they become a gatekeeper, become parental guidance for our children. There are teachers who have had more influence on some student lives than their parents has had on their lives. Because there are some students who will look back and say, it was that teacher who saved my life, not mom and dad who's at the house. Because sometimes they don't feel like they can talk to mom and dad, but they can talk to that teacher. That teacher have built that level of trust. Shouldn't be that way, but the reality is that it does happen. And those teachers have become someone that students reach out to, tell their deepest and sincere secrets to. And we still don't want to help them in their older age, no more than give them a bonus check for a dollar for every year they spent, which averages out to about $400. It's better than nothing, and they're gonna take it, and they're gonna be happy to get it. But how fast is that gonna be gone? Versus something that's sustainable. And we keep talking about it's an unfunded mandate, but we don't look how to sustain it. We find money for everything else that we want to find money for, except when it comes to retired teachers. That's the very people that taught us. Some of them taught us the ability to speak. Some of them taught us our first ABCs. ABCs weren't taught by parents in households for a lot of households. Some of these students learned for the first time from that teacher. And that same teacher, we're standing here and telling them, go somewhere and take this little $400, but we're really willing to find $10 million plus for police officers' children. And we're not willing to find some real money for retired teachers. That's a sad day. That's a sad day. But we're willing to find some real money for police officers and other servicemen because we think it's cute, it's sexy. But to give to your retired teacher is not a sexy thing. They ought to, they should. I remember before you got here, there were members on your side of the aisle. They knew what they were doing when they got into teaching. They knew we weren't supposed to take care of them the rest of their life. Yeah, but they're not here anymore. But they said that. As if they weren't human. As if they had never been taught by a teacher. you know. So, but we want to give to police officers. And I don't have nothing against the police forces. Men in blue or the men in green, the brown, whatever color they wear out there. Black, some wear black, blue, brown, green. All of those officers does a great service to our state. And maybe their kids deserve it. But at the end of the day, if we're gonna do for one, we should make this consideration for them all. And with that, I'll let you go on and pass this bill as amended, and I'll tell you, I done sure don't like it.
All right.
Mr. President, I'd renew my motion for final passage of HB 98 as substituted.
Using long roll?
Using long roll.
All right. Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot.
Aye.
Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smotherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams. Mr. Woods.
Thirty-two ayes, 1 nay. House Bill 98 passes amended. Thanks, Senator Barfoot. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 21 of the calendar, House Bill number 255 by Representative Bedsole and others regarding the Crime Victims Compensation Commission. BR pending.
Mr. President, motion to move.
Bill.
Motion to adopt BIR, previous row, no objections.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
Thirty-two ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 21 of the calendar, House Bill number 255 by Representative Bedsole and others regarding the Crime Victims Compensation Commission.
Mr. President.
Senator Bell.
All this bill does is moves the claim period from 1 year to 2 years for crime victims from the date of the injury. That's all it does. Motion to final passage, previous row, no objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
33 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 255 passes. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 41 of the calendar, House Bill number 465 by Representative Halsey and others regarding motor vehicles. BR pending.
We have it before us.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I was getting ready to move for adoption of the BIR using previous role without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
Thirty-two ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 41 of the calendar, House Bill number 465 by Representative Halsey and others regarding motor vehicles.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move final passage of House Bill 465 using the previous role without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
32 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention. House Bill 465 passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know we're kind of moving along, but this was so huge. This was the decal for the invisible disabilities. We're going to save lives with this, and thank you all for supporting this piece of legislation.
All right, thank you. Secretary, call the next bill.
Page 52 of the calendar, House Bill number 379 by Representative Collins regarding the Entertainment Industry Incentive Act.
Senator Coleman.
Pending.
Yes, Mr. President, move adoption of the BIR for House Bill 379 using the previous roll without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
33 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 52 of the calendar, House Bill number 379 by Representative Collins regarding the Entertainment Industry Incentive Act.
All right,
Thank
Senator
you.
Coleman.
Thank you again, Mr. President. Move final passage of House Bill 379 using the previous roll without objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
33 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 379 passes.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator
President.
Coleman.
Another good bill brings some films into the state of Alabama.
All right. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 63 of the calendar, House Bill number 8 by Representatives Gidley and others regarding campus chaplains. BR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator.
Move adoption of the BIR using previous roll without objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
33 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 63 of the calendar, House Bill number 8 by Representatives Gidley and others regarding campus chaplains.
Mr. President.
Senator Elliott.
Move final passage of HB 8 using previous roll without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
33 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 8 passes. Thank you, Senator Elliott. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 48 of the calendar, House Bill number 393 by Representatives Lawrence and others regarding tax abatement and tax incentive programs. BR pending.
All right, Senator, you're recognized.
Mr. President, move for passage of the BIR using the previous roll without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
33 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 48 of the calendar, House Bill 393 by Representatives Lawrence and others regarding taxes.
Mr. President, this bill is the it's the companion bill to the bill I passed in here, Senate Bill 251. I move for final passage using the previous roll without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
33 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 393 passes. Thank you. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 68 of the calendar, House Bill number 593 by Representative Witt regarding alcoholic beverage producers. BR pending.
Mr. President, I ask for the BIR to be a previous roll, please.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
33 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 68 of the calendar, House Bill number 593 by Representative Witt regarding alcoholic beverage producers.
Mr. President, I ask for final passage of HB 593 without any objections. What, we've got an amendment, don't we? Hang on 1 minute.
Mr. President.
All right, Senator Chastain.
Yeah.
It's a friendly amendment.
I'd like to offer an amendment.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the amendment first, please. You want to carry this bill over to call the chair and us come back to it?
Yes, sir. We can carry it over to call the chair and get the amendment
All right.
straight.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. House
Mr.
Bill
President.
593 is carried over. Call the chair. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 33 of the calendar, House Bill number 351 by Representative Shaw regarding data privacy. BR pending.
Senator Elliott.
Mr. President, thank you. Move the BIR using previous role without objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
Thirty-four ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 33 of the calendar, House Bill number 351 by Representative Shaw regarding data privacy. Committee amendments pending.
Senator Elliott.
Mr. President, move adoption of Committee Amendment 1, the first committee amendment, using previous role without objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Committee amendments adopted. Senator Elliott.
Mr. President, move we table Committee Amendment 2 using previous role without objection.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Committee amendment is tabled.
Mr. President, move adoption of Committee Amendment 3 using previous role without objection.
All right, any objection? Let me get the board right. Was this committee amendment number 3 we're waiting on? All right. Any objection to using previous role? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The committee amendment number 3 is adopted.
Mr. President, I have an amendment.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the amendment.
Amendment to House Bill 351 by Senator Elliott. Replace lines 157 through 158 on page 6 with the following. Replace lines 237 on page 9 with the following.
Mr. President, move adoption of the amendment using the previous role without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. That's final passage, correct? That's amendment. All right, amendment's adopted. All right, Senator Elliott.
Mr. President, move final passage of HB 351 as amended using previous role without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 351 passes as amended multiple times.
Thank you, Mr.
All right.
President.
Yep, thank you. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 62 of the calendar, House Bill number 499 by Representative Bracey regarding constables. BR pending.
Senator Figures.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask that the BIR pass using the previous role without objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 62 of the calendar, House Bill 499 by Representative Bracey regarding constables.
Mr. President, I move for final passage of HB 499, reading at length to be dispensed with, using the previous role without objection, please.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 499 passes. Thank you, Senator Figures.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, members of the Senate.
All right, Secretary. All right, you ready to go
Mr.
back to your
President.
bill now?
Yes, I'd like to call up HB 593, please.
All right, Secretary, call up HB 593.
On page 68 of the calendar, House Bill number 593 by Representative Witt regarding alcoholic beverage producers.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. My colleague has a simple amendment that's a favorable amendment. Go ahead.
All right.
I'd like to offer this amendment, please.
Okay, Secretary, read and receive the amendment.
Amendment to House Bill 593 by Senator Chasteen. Replace lines 351 on page 13 with the following. Replace line 353 on page 13 with the following. Replace line 430 on page 16 with the following. Replace line 440 on page 16 with the following. Replace line 485 on page 18 with the following. Replace line 533 on page 20 with the following. Replace line 540 on page 20 with the following. Replace line 573 on page 21 with the following. Replace line 635 on page 23 with the following. Replace line 644 on page 23 with the following. Place line 676 on page 25 with the following.
Mr. President,
All right.
the amendment just left local off. It was state and federal, and local was left off in all of those that were added. So this friendly amendment, I'd like to offer that.
Or how do you want to pass it? Using
Previous
previous.
roll.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34.
All right. 34 ayes, 0 nays. The Senator Chastain amendment's adopted. Thanks, Senator Chastain. All right. Senator Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the amendment added, I move for final passage with previous roll of HB 593, please.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 593 passes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Senator Price. Secretary, call the next bill on the calendar.
Page 44 of the calendar. House Bill number 415 by Representative Ellis regarding the Department of Insurance. BR pending.
Mr. President, I'd like to move the BR without objection.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 44 of the calendar, House Bill 415 by Representative Ellis regarding the Department of Insurance.
Senator Roberts.
Mr. President, I'd like to move final passage using previous roll without objection.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 415 passes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
This time, I want to recognize a special guest in the gallery, and I call your name if you could please stand. Mark Fowler, the Insurance Commissioner, if you could please stand. Welcome to Alabama Senate. Good to have you today. All right, keep up the good work. Secretary, call the next bill.
Page 28 of the calendar, House Bill number 17 by Representative Lamb regarding municipal audits. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move for adoption of the BR using previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
Page 28 of the calendar, House Bill number 17 by Representative Lamb regarding audits.
Mr. President, move for final passage of HB 17 using previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 17 passes. Thanks, Senator Barfoot. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 30 of the calendar, House Bill 341 by Representative Starnes and others regarding income tax. BR pending.
Senator Barfoot.
Well, I'd move for passage of the BR using previous roll.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, no nays.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
Page 30 of the calendar, House Bill 341 by Representative Starnes and others regarding income tax. Committee amendment pending.
Mr. President.
Senator Jones.
This is the income tax exemption for National Guard drill pay. If there are no questions, I'd move for final passage using the previous roll without objection.
Committee amendment. Do you want to pass it?
Yes, let's pass the committee
Okay.
amendment. Great idea.
Using previous roll?
Previous roll would be fantastic.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Committee amendment passes. You got to be careful, Senator Jones. I'll table that amendment. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'll renew my motion for final passage using previous roll without objection.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 341 passes. Thanks, Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 39 of the calendar, House Bill number 75 by Representative Robertson regarding public high schools. BR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator Kelly.
Move adoption of the BIR by previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, no nays.
34 ayes, 0 nays. BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
Page 39 of the calendar, House Bill 75 by Representative Robertson regarding public high schools. Committee amendment pending.
Mr. President, move adoption of the committee amendment by previous rule.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The committee amendment's adopted. All right, Senator Kelly.
Mr. President, I move adoption by the amended bill, the bill is amended, rather.
All right, would you like to use previous roll?
Yes, sir.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 75 passes amended.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 54 of the calendar, House Bill number 388 by Representative Faulkner regarding taxation. BIR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move for the BIR using previous rule without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 54 of the calendar, House Bill number 388 by Representative Faulkner regarding taxation.
Mr. President. This bill would continue a current sales tax exemption for certain community foundations through 2031. If no questions, I'd move for final passage using previous rule without objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 388 passes. Thanks, Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 65 of the calendar, House Bill number 605 by Representative Keel regarding the State Health Planning and Development Agency. BR pending.
Senator Chastain.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to move for pass the BIR using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 65 of the calendar, House Bill number 605 by Representative Keel regarding the State Health Planning and Development Agency.
Senator Chastain.
Mr. President, yeah, this rural health antitrust immunity would allow the state and federal antitrust laws for rural hospital providers to be able to collaborate. Alabama was awarded $203 million in year one funding of this transformation, and I know we're working on an amendment, and I think my colleague across the way would like to address this bill at this time, so I will yield to his comments.
Mr. President.
All right, Senator Stotts.
Thank you. First, I appreciate you working with me on this. As you know, when the bill was in committee, I had some questions about it, and on the Senate version of the bill, we were going to work through those things. And the House version of the bill, I've been meeting with some people from the governor's staff for actually a couple of hours this afternoon, trying to work on the amendments and iron out the differences. And I appreciate you being understanding and working with it. I think the problem, there are some things I know, and it's only in the title of the bill, but overall the problem I'm concerned about is multiple times in the bill it says displacing competition and things like that. And my concern is I think competition is generally a good thing, and in a medical community that hospitals that were collaborating together under this act could displace services that were being provided by a group of physicians maybe in that community, or a outpatient surgery center that was in that community. And so my amendments are intended to refine it down to any of this displacement or any of those things is only limited to the provisions of the act. And so hopefully we'll have some data by tomorrow on what some other states around us exactly have done, and probably about 3 changes that hopefully we're going to agree to in the bill. And so anyway, I appreciate you working with me, and I would like to see us just carry the bill over at the call of the chair until we get those final things worked out.
You and I had talked about these things, and I told you I would work with you when we got to this point. So I think we're close now. So, Mr. President, I would like to carry this bill over to call the chair.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. House Bills, 605, carried over, call the chair. Secretary, call the next bill.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Page 15 of the calendar, House Bill number 151 by Representative Garrett regarding the University of Alabama. BR pending.
Senator Orr.
I've moved adoption of the BR using previous role.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 15 of the calendar, House Bill number 151 by Representative Garrett regarding the University of Alabama.
Move third reading using the previous role, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, no nays.
34 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 151 passes. Secretary, call next bill.
On page 21 of the calendar, House Bill number 250 by Representative Garrett regarding income taxes. PR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator
I'd
Roberts.
like to move BR using previous role without objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Woods.
34 ayes, no nays.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 21 of the calendar, House Bill number 250 by Representative Garrett regarding income taxes.
Mr. President.
Senator Roberts.
I'd like to move final passage using the previous role without objection.
No, Mr. President.
Just more stories from Little Bobby.
Little Bobby.
All right.
Little Bobby wants you to explain the Trump accounts.
Well, I explained this, if you remember the last time.
No, I want it again.
You want it again?
Before I start my first hour on it.
These are accounts that can be set up for children, for the children's future, for anyone that chooses to do that. That's what this is setting up. And it also makes permanent the qualified education loans from employers, payments from employers for student debt that employees have, that they can pay that debt for them, and then those who are working that are employees do not have to count that as income. That's what the purpose of the bill is.
So
it's to help satisfy student debt that our employees would have. Employers can pay that, and then you can also set up accounts for children, if you will, sort of like IRAs.
So does the Trump administration put any money into these accounts?
No, sir.
So why are we calling it a Trump account?
Because you can put the money in, it grows tax-free. It's to
So
help
it's the
help
tax-free.
young people.
So the incentive is tax-free.
Yes, sir.
So the incentive is tax-free for them to set up these accounts. And so if an employee decided to do it for one employee, does they have to do it for all employees? Or is it discriminatory or subjective?
I think is that the pleasure of the companies.
So that's the pleasure of the company. So they can discriminate if they want to.
I don't know if they can discriminate or not. I think if
Yeah, you
have
said it's the
employees-
pleasure of the company. If they decide to only do Republicans versus Democrats, just like Trump like to always do.
He wouldn't do that.
Yes, he does. Child, please.
It is made to help employees settle student debt.
Again, I'm fine with that. But in this bill, does this guarantee that the employees, if he do it for one, they do it for all?
It gives us the opportunity to roll in conformity with the way the payments of student debt is paid.
Regardless,
It's not counted as
if I
income
got
regardless.
50 people in here, in this room,
Correct.
that has student debt,
Yes.
okay? And
we would probably do 49.
they would
right?
and leave out the 50 because they
Little
might be a
Bobby
Democrat.
might get
Lil
left
Bobby.
out, yeah.
And so you're gonna set this bill up to discriminate against Lil Bobby.
No, this is already federal law. All we are doing is bringing it into conformity.
Federal law don't mean nothing these days, the way this president has been utilizing executive orders and everything else, man. Federal law used to mean something when you said this is federal law.
Employees that have student debt, the employer is allowed to pay $2,500 of their student debt annually, and it's not counted as income on their personal return.
Again, only thing I want to know in this,
Yes.
I hear you, and I like the concept, but is it a shall or a may? Is it a shall or a may to employee? Is it a shall or a may?
I don't have the federal law, sir. All it means is that
But your bill got to at least quote the federal law.
I can give you the statute. I don't have the federal statute.
I understand, but all I'm
And I
saying
think
is
you
that
and I both know
un-
that
under-
we have
under the-
colleagues in our federal delegation that would ensure that this was not discriminatory.
Oh, now you're talking about our federal delegation. Come on, dude. I don't trust but two of them in there.
I had the privilege to meet with one of ours, Representative Terry Sewell, this afternoon.
And them the only ones that
and it
come
was
here.
Great.
They're the only ones that come here and see us. The other ones don't even come this way.
Okay. Well, I was sure glad to get to see her today.
I understand you would. I understand. I'm fine, but we're going to have to do a long roll on it.
Long roll?
Yeah, we'll do a long roll.
President, I use final passage of HB 250 using long roll.
All right. Long roll?
Yes.
All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chasteen. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shillnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams. Mr. Woods.
26 ayes, 6 nays. House Bill 250 passes. Thank you, Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, that concludes the calendar. Senator Gudger, you got some House messages you want to do?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Can we do House messages?
Secretary, call the first House message.
Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has amended as therein shown and as amended has passed the following Senate bill and returned same herewith to the Senate. Senate Bill number 183 regarding the Alabama Board of Cosmetology and Barbering. Signed, John Treadwell, clerk.
You can do it.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I'm asking the body to concur with the House amendment this is the natural hair braiding bill. What we did not know is that there are some high schools that want to be able to maintain doing the natural braiding license because they need the credential in order to graduate. So we've accepted that friendly amendment, and I'm asking the Senate to concur with the House amendment.
Using short roll.
Using the short roll, yes, without objection.
Probably need a long roll.
Oh, well,
There's a lot of
no, that
votes.
long roll we just did, I was a no on.
Yeah. All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chasteen.
You need the natural hair braider.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott.
Aye.
Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger.
Aye.
Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kitchens, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Melson, Mr. Orr, Mr. Price, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Sessions, Mr. Shillnut, Mr. Singleton, Mr. Smitherman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stutz, Mr. Wagner, Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods.
All right, 32 ayes, 0 nays. The Senate concurs on Senate Bill 183. So thank you, Senator
Thank
Coleman.
you so much to the members of the Senate.
All right, Secretary, call the next House message.
Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has amended as therein shown and as amended has passed the following Senate bill and returns same herewith to the Senate. Senate Bill number 94 regarding disabled parking. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
Mr. President,
Senator Gudger.
I'd like to make a motion to concur with the House message using the short roll.
Yeah.
Without
All right,
objection.
any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
32 ayes, 0 nays. The Senate concurs on Senate Bill 94. All right, Secretary, call the next House message.
Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has amended as therein shown and as amended has passed the following Senate bill and returns same herewith to the Senate. Senate Bill number 341 regarding public safety. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
Mr. President,
Senator Gudger.
I'd like a motion to concur with the House message using, non-concur with this and send it to conference
All right, using previous roll.
using previous roll without objection.
All right, motion non-concur and go to conference using previous roll. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
32 ayes, 0 nays. The Senate non-concurs and goes to conference. Conferees will be Senator Carnley, Senator Weaver, Senator Coleman. Senator Gudger, I haven't seen Jess jump that high in a long time. It was impressive.
He's got a vertical. We got some, yeah.
Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 353 by Representatives Butler and Collins regarding public education is referred to the Committee on Education Policy. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 631 by Representative Butler regarding Etowah County with notice and proof is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 633 by Representative Butler regarding Etowah County with notice and proof is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 632 by Representative Butler regarding Etowah County with notice and proof is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill 630 by Representative Butler regarding Etowah County with notice and proof is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 662 by Representative Wharton regarding Madison County with notice and proof is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation at Madison County. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
Senator Gudger.
Mr. President, I think we've had a good day. I like it when we all come together and make things happen. So this time I'll make a motion to adjourn until tomorrow, which is April 8th at 10:30 a.m. using short roll without objection.
All right, you heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned.